In some parts of the country today, it's a wet Wednesday morning. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and you're listening to me on your TV set, on your mobile devices, and this is the AM show. Welcome. I do this with Benjamin Akakpo. Today, we have a lot coming your way, starting with Denise Apoma Ej, who'll be serving you the first news bulletin for the day. And then we'll get into our news review segment. Dr. Kwame Asasante, Head of European Studies at the University of Ghana, will join us to get into the various stories captured in the newspapers. Muftana Bila Abdullahi will bring you AM Sports, and then we'll get into our big stories. Now, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh already sparking controversy, pitching Kwame Nkrumah ahead of President Akufo-Addo on the development record as the stage gets set in equal measure for both the NPP and the NDC for the December 2024 elections. So what will the Bawumia Napo ticket bring to the campaign for the 2024 general elections in December? What threats does this ticket pose to the NDC? And will Napo, as popularly known to be able, as arrogant, will he be able to ramp up the 80% vote needed in the Ashanti region to break the 8? We will deal with the issues right here on the AM show. Also on housing today, we get ready for the second clinic of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair in Tema. We will discuss how you navigate the cost challenges to be able to build your house in these difficult times and turn it into a beautiful home. So join us with your comments and your thoughts either via phone or across all social media platforms. This is the AM show. Let's start with the AM news now.
Hello, good morning. It's a wonderful Wednesday. My name is Denise Apoma Ej, and I serve you AM News. Let's start from the man of the moment, because at least 100,000 people gathered at the Jubilee Park in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, for the official outdooring of Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh as Vice President Dr. Napo-Bawumia's running mate for the 2024 general elections. The delegation paid a courtesy call on Asantehene Otumfuo Setitu II, who said Dr. Opoku-Prempeh is his son and will be praying for him to succeed, and strongly advised him to be humble and work with Dr. Bawumia, while insisting Dr. Opoku-Prempeh is not arrogant.
Na eubanso anyame tumenti ubedi eche na bibia ya bompa ya eche na de nyame ahihye ayeho amaye. Dr. Bawumia ka che exam de na hye nensa. Bebia wonso tete no enfomso bia na beba maso ntina me amenti an wodem. Me bedi e makasa ache no wodem metunufo. Nanso ma men kan chiro. Emma Dr. Bawumia nunu ho se wo yi wo. Emma nunu ho se wo yi wo. Wo kwaya no kwaya sumpa ne di na chi na de obekire wo na wo so ye. Dem no waka ne dem na meka. Pa ho brase kodi akire na ye ne kama mame. Ya sutie na de ono bekire wo na ye. Eba ye yesen krofo bi se wani nso ade mesi akwalai metiti no ofie ma hunu sa ade enti na ne ye kasa. Kem de ye ka no media mesa wuti sente sa e ma ne nye ho.
Well, President Akufo-Addo, who introduced the duo to Asantehene, said he was confident the two can win power for the party.
Bawumia ano say hi ena opese ono ne yes adwumai one fa baby o two for one fa baby one fa baby wow fear I fear ala unana agala for nya friend Napo Oyam Resha Bedwani ama mensia sao minister so ewo maben ono na yiri ramabia eyi ni national council Edi no baya no aya cook say ye pese mu no ubia ni national council o ka say debi emfata ye nyina abro be kan unanimous of the national council o ka say Napo Matthew Popo Prempe ese efata so no enaba be kan yira Bawumia and it is the me the pan say Bratia me nua and me you the actual Bratia me no aye adwuma it be the minim wa hoden and the woni betumi aye and me say Ghana 7th of December ebe aban ba woni afa adwuma Ghana for be say san woni betumi aye abro so ama aye ye pa.
And here's the man of the moment, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempe.
Sadum so Ghana. E bob de ye duma siesie. Ye nai e duma siesie. Oti ba bi na ka de duma. Anya se ye pade na pre se obi de no. Ye de ye duma ye dai. Sa oti asante ba mu a enfia duonu ni kania no ye better than this time. Meboa. And tell them no be free about Tabaka say, Edu. Nana did not go for so. I did be a man your samu, a berry asida, the baganaha, or Piantono. School structures I see, school do I see, school buildings I see, a bit to a Nakufuado, or Pian to the Nakufuado. In fact, you have few, and Konako Trump here, no mutia. As I'm free, and I don't come for a headache. Watch him. Now, I was here. Your problem so much school fees, and I go for a headache. Or no quite president, so Bossy Hospital, Baku, 111. Way, now per day. That's all for the guard I couldn't do. Over that to me, I'm the enemy. Now, why not the neighbor? Young Quattro. Kamutia, Opia, Odim, Motia, Moko Hena Droy, Motia, the 900 cheap bois, as you are called Quahin, Motia, the 900, as you are called Quahin, Miss Shamu, and then there, the baby be Wendy, Samunia Nabo, Messedai.
Now, away from the NPP, Shraj boss Joseph Whittle is bemoaning how the country continues to look on for Galamsey to destroy the environment and impact the fundamental human rights. Speaking at the 11th Juris Confab at the University of Cape Coast, the Shraj boss says justifying illegal acts on the basis of lack of jobs, deprives many of their fundamental human rights to clean environment and potable sources of water.
The Shraj boss was upset about how illegal mining is still ravaging the country's forests, rivers and water bodies.
The devastating impact of unregulated mining, popularly referred to as Galamsey, on the environment is a threat beyond debate. The wanton destruction of water bodies, interruption of biodiversity, unmeasured use of mercury, destruction of cocoa farms is well documented for me to even go into any further detail. As humans, our our existence is heavily dependent on the environment. And as such, the destruction of the environment certainly poses a very great existential threat to our survival. In the midst of this destruction, one may ask, does the 1992 Constitution guarantee the right to clean and safe environment? The answer is yes. And what are we doing about that? The answer is nobody cares. People are looking for money. People are justifying why in the situation of joblessness, why can't the youth destroy the environment to make a living? That is our response as Ghanaians.
Joseph Whittal also spoke about the arrest and persecution of journalists under the guise of breach of peace and false news publication.
Arrest and prosecution of journalists. We have statistics everywhere that show how, despite the triumphs, quote unquote, of the repeal of the criminal libel and sedition laws and others, we are using innocuous laws in the in the Criminal Offences Act, such as breach of peace, causing fear and panic, publication of false news, to arrest journalists and others. Recent poll showing on the World Press Freedom Index is as a result of these acts against journalists.
The Dean of the UCC School of Law, Julia Salman Aite, and a lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Dr. Mami Ifwa Adazikum, called for the protection and advancement of women's rights and the fundamental human rights of the citizenry in general.
A recent local example includes the patient of a Winneba hospital who, after being discharged, was allegedly dumped by the roadside by an ambulance shortly after the patient met their unfortunate death. Now, this is not simply a moral or an ethical or health or medical issue. It is also a legal issue.
I want to say that gender equality is not just a woman's thing. It's a human thing that requires all of us to be involved. Imagine a country where everyone, male and female, feels comfortable being who they are without fear of discrimination based on gender. To be a haven of peace and tranquility. But to realize that kind of haven starts with good laws and effective enforcement of those good laws.
The 11 juries confab assembled minds and hearts in the legal fraternity to discuss pertinent issues concerning law.
Now, the strike by the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, CLOGSAG, has started to bite hard as workers abandon work over government's failure to implement a new salary structure for its members. CLOGSAG began the strike on July 3, insisting they will not return to work until their demands are met. This is Kenneth JC's report on how the strike is affecting clients of the Registrar General's Department and the ministries.
At the Registrar General's Department, there were just a few people around when the news team got there. These security men are here just to inform clients about the strike. Some of the clients shared their frustration with Joy News.
This morning I came here to do business registration for a client. From what I know, he needed to secure other documents for his business. But as at now, from the look of things, it's not going to be possible. And moreover, too, I came here for premium service, so I expect the certificate to be ready within 1 week. So this is how urgent it is for me. Yeah, for the first time today. I don't know. I can't really tell, but I'll be hanging around to see whether I'll get someone inside to assist me, because this is very important for me. For that, I don't really go into that. So their agreement with government salary structure, I don't really go into that. What I want is come here for the work to be done for me, then go home.
I came to do a renewal of my business certificate. But I have to return home because without renewing, it means that you are working illegally. So I have to, the government has to do something about it. so that we can be able to renew our document for us to operate our businesses. Sure. If they call off the strike, so I'll come back again and do it.
The Registrar General's Department handles the registration of marriages, registration of business entities, intellectual properties, insolvency and liquidation, among others. All these activities have halted due to the strike. The situation was similar at the ministries. Most offices have red bands on fenced walls, trees, main entrances and doors.
There's a sigh of relief for residents of Gwatinori community following the construction of Community Health Planning Services compound for the area. Hitherto, the patients, especially pregnant women, used to travel several kilometers to access quality health care. The Wild West District Assembly, led by Chief Executive Vida Dorothy, handed over the CHIPS compound to the community. Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports that the Assembly also commissioned a borehole and a 5-unit furnished teachers' quarters at Genob.
Regarded as one of the poorest districts in the country, the Wawas district, being one of the beneficial districts for the Gulf of Guinea Northern Regions project, embarked on infrastructure drive aimed at lifting the people out from the poverty quagmire they are wallowing in, improve the education, health, and social well-being of the people. But Noriri, a farming community in the district, over the years has been without a health facility to take care of the medical needs of the people. Wawas District Chief Executive Vida Dorothy did not hesitate on ceding to the request of the construction of a CHIPS compound for the community.
People around the catchment area of Gurungu, particularly the Batunuri, will get their health services from this facility. In fact, it is a facility that is a very nice one. That is the first health facility that we have constructed as an assembly so far. We have planned again to construct more in other communities.
Wawas District Director of Health Services, Cecilia Kakaraba, was commending the Wawas District Assembly for the project, also penciled a request which she said will improve access to health care in the enclave.
I will plead and also appeal that even after handing over this beautiful project and adding on our number of chief compounds in the district, I will also plead with the district assembly and the Soko project, if they could also consider adding water facility and then motorbike to this facility that is being handed over to us.
Nurses at the facility, including Gurunga sub-district in charge, Mumun Abubakar, will not hide their joy, recounting the challenges pregnant women used to go through to access quality health care.
I think it was very challenging. We have a stream down when you are moving towards Grongo, and it is not easy for a pregnant woman to cross and access services at Grongo Health Center. And I think it is a great relief today. Once there is a facility, access becomes easy, and there will not be any hustle to take a pregnant woman to Grongo. I think it is very good for us to have this facility for access of health services.
Another community that is benefiting from the Soko project is Mountain, where a borehole was drilled for the community. According to a district chief executive, Vida Dorothy, 9 boreholes has been drilled under the project.
Before the drilling of this borehole, the people were having a lot of challenges as to how to get potable water. When they came to the office to request for the borehole, they made me to understand that the 2 boreholes they have that used to break down frequently, when they break down, they travel to Ga, sometimes even to Gadi here. That is, these are nearby communities to fetch water. And so they were having a lot of water challenges until we came and then drilled this borehole for them.
The last project commissioned by the Wawas District Chief Executive was a 5-unit teachers' quarters at Jumbo for the Jumbo Primary School.
We all know that when the teacher lives with the student or the child and teaches that child becomes a better person. But if you are far away, the child wants to have a feel of you. You are not close by. That child will not grow very well. That child will not learn very well. And so I would like you to urge all your teachers, and I will even urge them that whether you are able to get a room to stay in, we are hoping that if resources are available, we can put up more teachers' quarters all over the.
Well, young Ghanaian girls are being urged to embrace STEM and ICT fields since the world is shifting towards digitalization. To prevent them from lagging behind in the technological advancement, the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization organized an event which brought together students and stakeholders to discuss prospects in STEM and ICT development. Here's the full report.
Since the introduction of STEM education in the Ghanaian education system, more students have shown interest in pursuing STEM-related programs. However, global statistics indicate that women represent only 28% of the STEM workforce worldwide. Consequently, school-going girls are being encouraged to take an interest in STEM and ICT programs to keep up with the digital transformation of the world. In celebration of the National Girls in ICT Day, the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization organized an event which brought together students and stakeholders to discuss the importance of staying updated with STEM and ICT developments. Founder and CEO of Dynamic Data Solutions Limited, Yvette Adiono, expressed that her company is open to helping students who want to learn ICT.
I decided that I cannot be here alone. So it's important to bring up the women in the organization to take a real interest in ICT. So I started an internship program. And I'm happy to say that we've had so many young women who have gone through Dimension Data and are now serving in various capacities in the technology departments of various companies in Ghana and also within our company still. I have been on this journey, I'm continuing on this journey and hoping that we'll be able to pass this on to many more young women to take up the mantle. If you want to take up an internship, we will do so. And anything else you would like for us to help you move ahead, we would love to do that.
Board Chair of the Ghana Domain Name Registry, Dr. Tina Nanaya Owusu-Prempeh, added that since internet connectivity is what drives STEM and ICT programs, she looks forward to more affordable and accessible internet connections.
I'm looking forward to see internet become more affordable. Do you like that? More accessible. Do you like that? Do you understand? Penetration, when I say penetration, is going into remote areas. Connectivity, it's not, oh, I lost connection. You want to call somebody, you're going to sit on top of a tree before you can talk. And I know that with the launch of the 5G, Ghana is going to go far. Faster than we ever thought. Faster than we ever thought.
Operating under the theme Leadership, many women leaders from various institutions shared their stories to inspire the girls.
Well, in an all-boys academic smackdown for supremacy, Kumasi High School has lifted their first regional trophy of the Gol PLC National Science and Maths Quiz in the Ashanti region. Qualifying to the grand finale as a top runner-up, the Mrantie were on phase to defeat two arch-rivals, Opokuwari School and Prempeh College, to satisfy their hunger for a trophy. The school's historic victory is coinciding with their 60th anniversary celebration. Emmanuel Bright Kweku reports from Kumasi.
The atmosphere ahead of the grand finale was charged with anthems from the three schools. First, the two rivals, Prempeh College and Opokuwari School. Then, the Mrantia from Kumasi High School. This was in anticipation of a win for all the three schools, but as the contest started and progressed, it became clearer the winners for the contest. Kumasi High School dominated in all the rounds of the contest to clinch the ultimate title.
In finance, I was half a farthing. In religion, I was the most a widow once gave. Yes, Kumasi High. Might. That is correct.
And so this is what you would term as a double blessing for the boys from Kumasi High School. They have won the National Science and Math Quiz Ashanti Regional Edition, and also they won the regional debates. In a year, they are celebrating their 60th anniversary. Say now, you people can speak English because you've won the debates, and now you are Brella in a science. How do you feel?
Actually, I don't even know what to say. I'm so enthusiastic. Like I just feel so happy. I don't know what to say. I can't even express my feeling at the moment. Let's come and talk.
Really, actually, let me find out. Your brother says he can't talk, but how do you feel?
Well, I feel very good. Like, we've worked so hard. Many years we've been struggling to clinch the trophy, but today the Lord has made it for us. So, like, it's a nice experience.
Today, the Santase Tigers have been tamed. The Sofoline Lions have been domesticated. Yes. And we use the formula of potassium hydrogen sulfide to subdue them. So this is just the beginning. When we get to the finals, it will be crossfire. Any school that crosses us, we are going to crash them.
This year the motto is we are winning everything. Yes. This is our 60th anniversary. Yes. We are winning everything. We are going to the nationals and we are winning everything. Yes. This one, we were just training. This one is just a friendly match. Yes. This is it's a down ball, right? It's a down ball. It's an easy win. Yes. Simple.
Before the contest, we heard Stephen in the Bible. Did you hear that he was stoned? And right now he's stoned. Stephen is stoned.
I told the OGs that we are going to do them as they did to us last 2 years, and we've done it with God. Veteran Spartans. We won this for Dr. Yao Asai Editu. They did a very good job. Like, they made us the OGs proud. Long live Kumasi High School.
They are hoping to come into the national championship and make it a treble. That's what they call it. They are winning the regional championship, also the national championship. Already they've won the regional debates as well, and they are hoping that this year is their year because it's their 60th anniversary. Emrantie, action! Emrantie, action! Emrantie, action! They say, aha. Kumasi. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bransquake.
Up next is Business Update with Sweetie Abochi.
In our business story today, economist and fellow of the Institute of Fiscal Studies, Leslie Mensah, is advocating for the Finance Ministry to establish a consolidated national budget. According to Mr. Mensah, the current budget fails to capture the full extent of the national debt, including the debt stocks of state institutions like Cocoa Board.
Had my way, I would put Cocoa Board on the budget. But in fact, Cocoa Board is not the only institution engaging in quasi-fiscal operations that sits outside the budget. I have made this complaint several times that the budget we have today does not cover the full range of fiscal operations going on. the budget is central government oriented. To the extent that it reports the activities of parastatals, it reports central government transfers to them. Their expenditures, their borrowings are not consolidated with the central government finances. That has to change. It would be better to move towards a consolidated general government budget presentation so that we can cover a wider scope of fiscal activity. That's why, for example, we had, for a long period, been suggesting that we were consolidating the budget. Whereas off budget, we were expanding public spending. So the GET funds, the road funds, were borrowing billions that were not showing up in the public budget and not showing up in the deficit.
And that's it for our business update. Denisia Pomeje takes over, Bra.
Yes, that's it for AM News. And up next is the news review with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political scientist. My name is Denisia Pomeje, and as usual, enjoy the rest of the show.
It's a pleasure for you to join us this morning. This is the news review segment, and my guest, not a guest after all, Benjamin Akakpo is in the studio with us. I know you missed him yesterday, but Benjamin is back. Hi, Ben.
Yeah. Good morning. How are you?
Feeling?
We day. God day, we day.
I was expecting you to say for God and country. You say some things and say, but you have to do it for God and country.
Yeah. You've said it for me. For God and country, we have to do this.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you so much. Well, right before we get into the news review and then introduce our guests, of course, you know that this segment is always brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they're offering you prostate screening for free, fertility screening for free. That is, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Just reach out to them at any of their branches, starting with Accra, Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronomabwe here, behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa in Isiamanzima. You want to reach them on these numbers: 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Our guest this morning, would you like to introduce him?
Our guest this morning is Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, the head of European Studies at the University of Ghana. He joins us now via Zoom. Doc, it's a pleasure to have you again on the AM show. Good morning. Doc, I think if you can hear me, then unmute.
Yes, I think I can hear you.
Great.
Can you also hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Welcome aboard.
Yeah. Good morning to you.
Doc, you have your minute or two now to get into the most topical issue that's occupying the most space in your head this morning. And I'm guessing, okay, it's your take.
Today, I'll look at something different.
Okay.
And I'm looking at, now that NPP has come out with the running mate for Dr. Bawumia, what I will urge is that the other parties will follow suit so that we'll get all the compliments for the elections set and then hit the ground running. But having said this, I want to, draw the attention of the parties, which they know, that the next exercise is that we need manifestos. They need to come out with manifestos that deal with our problems, and then we should also have the solutions. We are more interested in the problems and the solutions, and then the way forward. The way forward, I'm looking at what manifestos that give hope, bring smiles on the faces of people. That is what. And when they are able to do that, they will continue with campaigns. And we want campaigns when the campaign starts. It's already started, but we're saying that when they are entering into the campaign full gear, there are do's and don'ts. What are some of the do's? We want to see them campaign on issues that confront us, issues that are on the minds of everybody. And then we need solutions. just not the issues, but tell us how you are going to address them. Take the conversation to another level and help us to deal with the problems. They should also focus on what their records tell us what you have done. After all, politics is nothing but a contest of ideas. So we want ideas, and then we want what? Your records. Show us the records. Last election, I witnessed something that which I thought was very, very was not good, and it undermined the fortunes of the party. You've done it so much, and then nobody sees that. Bring them out. Let us interrogate them. The don'ts are the things that I'm going to say. We don't want insults. Once you start with insult, we know that you have nothing to share with us. We will not waste our time on that, right? No insult. We don't want propaganda, lies and deception. No, we don't want that. It will be in their own interest to give us nothing but the truth, because we will find out. And your station has been doing so well. Fact-checking. Yes, you will come out to expose the person in no time. So we want nothing but the truth. And then issue of what? Parties playing the ethnic card. It will not work. Because if ethnicity is anything to go by, anytime we go for election, the dominant party, the dominant ethnic group, people should win the election. But that has not been the case, and it will not be the case. People don't know this. It is not part of the literature that if you play the ethnic card, people will vote for you. People will not vote for you. And so is what religion, that you want to play the religious card. It will not work. We have seen people, I don't want to mention names, 1992 up to date, people who were believe in certain religious, they profess certain religious faith, and the rest of them, they contested people with the hope that they will win. They never won, and they will not win. All right? As individual, if you are an individual, you are prepared yourself, work and build capacity, and you are good to go. But if you want to play any of these, the religious or ethnic card, it will not work. The literature doesn't support that. So let us stay focused and look at the things that influence voters. That is the economy, that is infrastructure development, corruption, health, and the rest of them, in addition to constituency-specific issues. This is the way to go. Any other thing, we will throw it into the lake of fire.
Okay, we will throw it into the lake of fire. Let's start with the Daily Guide newspaper now. I'll do 3 major stories, but I'll run through all the major headlines, all the headlines really, and then we'll get into those stories. On the front page, Bawumia Napo shake Kumasi. Police pursue 7 over NPP Ayawaso West office attack. Nana commends German government on cement price control. Cogmac cries foul. I'll start with this Bawumia Napo shaking Kumasi story, because I mean that's what's going to make major headlines this morning. A grand debate of chiefs and people of Asanteman was held yesterday at the Nana Efia Kobi Park inside the Mesha Palace to welcome the New Patriotic Party delegation to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, led by President Nana Akufo-Addo. The party presented its flag bearer, Dr. Napo-Bawumia, and running mate, Dr. Matthew Puku-Prempeh, affectionately called Napo, to the Asante Hino Tumfo II for his blessings, advice, and support. And we saw yesterday that well, not many people knew that there was such a close-knit relationship between the Otumfo and Napo. And so many revelations actually came to bear. Some of the things that he himself was, has been saying has come under major attack. But I'll leave that for you, Doc, to get into that. The battle line is finally drawn. I think it's an editorial talking about the tickets of the 2 doctors, Dr. Napo-Bawumia and Dr. Puku-Prempeh, and the Mahama and Professor Jenano Poku-Ajiman ticket. So it's like all set for elections. Cement price control, Cogmac cries foul. In this story I want to get into. The Chamber of Cement Manufacturers, Ghana, has raised serious concerns over the proposed Ghana Standards Authority pricing of cement regulations 2024. That is that LI that Katie Hammond sought to regulate prices of cement. Now, the Chamber is noting that while price transparency is a laudable goal, the proposed regulations raise concerns about who wields the price control power. Cogmac emphasized that these regulations were drafted without extensive consultation with industry players. Quote, while some might suggest a meeting was planned, the facts paint a different picture. Cement companies were summoned via a last-minute WhatsApp message on a Sunday evening for a meeting the following morning with no agenda provided. And those are just excerpts of the actual story to give us some context. Financial irregularities drop in specified entities, that is according to SIGA. Government partners improve horticultural sector's growth. In entertainment, Prince David endorses Dr. Napo-Bawumia. Hajia Forel's baby daddy denies romance. 2 Nigerians caged for killing their colleague, that is on international front. Frema praises Ghanaian teachers. I'll just touch on this story briefly and then I'll come to you. 2 Nigerians, Prosper Chukwu and Destiny Ogwe, have been remanded into police custody for allegedly strangling their fellow Nigerian to death at Taifa Cocoa Powder in Accra during a quarrel. Wow. The suspects, according to court documents, prior to killing Tony Amechi, subjected him to severe beatings, tied his neck, hands and legs with a TV cable. The document states that the suspects then strangled him with a T-shirt and a pillow. The 2 have been charged with 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder and a substantive charge of murder. And that's happened right here in Accra. Doc, these 3 stories for your reflections.
Yeah, I will start with Bawumia Napo ceremony yesterday, where the outdoor Dr. Opoku Prembe. That was a good one. We saw it. And what we take from it in terms of politics is advice that the king gave. And you and I are aware that the king always have a wise counsel for people, except that people throw them away. And then whatever happens, happens. But he gave 2 important ones, that he should conduct his affairs in such a way that Bawumia will not regret for having selected him. That is very, very, very deep. I commend the king for that. More often than not, we select people, we appoint them into various positions, they end up disappointing us, disgracing us. So that he sounded a cautionary note to him. And then 2, it talks about his character, that people has come to sharp focus in recent time, that he doesn't know him like that, but he should not allow that to stay. In other words, he should be able to work on that and then become the best, if I may paraphrase that way. That gives you a sense of the fact that the king is aware of the goings on in the political terrain, and anything that affects anybody, the king is aware. So he's alive to this, tag, and he wants to advise Napo. I will also add that it is important for him to take all these things in his stride and then work at them. Try and manage himself, right, and make sure that he get the best, because it's those who really want to support you who give you the best of advice. Right. Remember, advice is not compulsory, but it is incumbent upon you that you do something about it so as to stay afloat. So that's it. We are looking forward to the pair, what they will do in terms of their campaign and their strategy and all that. And they have promised that in no time the manifesto will come. We'll see and interrogate the issues further.
Okay, Doc.
The issue about cement price control and the reaction from the producers and all that, right, it is to be expected, because if you look at the way the whole process started, it was a source of worry to some of us, because we believe that we are in a free market and the forces of demand and supply at work. In other words, there's the, laissez-faire economy. So why a restriction of that sort? But if you look at events later on, things have changed. And now the bill, if you listen to members of parliament, I think it represents something which is fair. Right. That is to members of parliament. Let's see how it comes out. And going forward, I expect that the ministry will have a dialogue with all the stakeholders before taking any position like that. Remember, there are industries, companies who are leaving the shores of Ghana. We don't want the remaining ones to also fold up or leave. We want to see this thing, right?
All right, Doc. Thank you for your thoughts. Benjamin.
Well, I'll get into the Republic Press newspaper. And it starts with Akufo-Addo says no to Mahama. And President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has dismissed the presidential bid of John Dramani Mahama, the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, citing his lack of new ideas and a failed track record. Speaking at the unveiling of the new Patriotic Party's running mate, Matthew Opoku Prempeh, Akufo-Addo drew parallels with former presidents Jerry John Rawlings, John Ajekum Kufuor, and himself, who all served 2 terms. He emphasized that Mahama's defeat in his second-term bid demonstrated his unsuitability for the presidency. The president went on to say, quote, Mahama was rejected for his second term, and now he is asking for a second chance. We won't consider him for the presidency, whether today or tomorrow. He added, we know his track record, and he has nothing new to offer Ghanaians. We saw what he did during his tenure, which led to his defeat. Why should we vote for him now? We won't. The president is speaking about, I do not know. But this morning, I'm going to be a bit acerbic with my, and I'll just share my thoughts briefly on this before you come in. I don't know whether some of the people who spoke yesterday were not under the influence. I'm going to be very respectful, but also because I struggle to understand why anyone thinking straight, and the point is this, would compare the Osajefo with Akufo-Addo. I don't get it. There's political speak, I understand, but there's also tosh, baseless, useless nonsense. Okay? Let's be serious in this country. Yesterday, Napo, what he said was underwhelming at best, uninspiring at worst. What I expected from him, and what was he saying about energy again? I mean, even the president came and was a bit pacific, and we didn't want to end up here, but, you know, some things. And that is why some people say he should resign from the energy ministry and focus on his campaign, because every time, yesterday I was talking to someone late at night, the person had a power situation. Anytime that comes up, guess whom people are going to be thinking about? Napo. So I don't know some of the rhetoric, but this bit about the focus, Akufo-Addo is better than Bawumia. Look, I think that is political speak that we can throw into the dustbin of loose talk. It's a comment we can throw in the dustbin of loose talk, because I don't know which sentient person. It's like saying, oh, Mandela and Thabo Mbeki or Cyril Ramaphosa or someone else. What's the MK party leader again? I mean, it is. So even in this Fourth Republic, I'm just going to wrap up here. And later, Doc, I know we'll have time to talk about it. So then I'll share my thoughts. But let's be serious in this country. You want to campaign? Yes. I wouldn't go and say, because I'm supposed to rally the base, I'll say things that only NPP faithful will find to resonate with them. I would want to speak to the generality of the people. After all, it's not NPP people alone who would vote for you. You might convince other people. But me, and I'll say it anyway, even in this Fourth Republic, and I'm not going to say in any particular order, it's not in any order, but even in this Fourth Republic, if I were to rank presidents based on what I have seen, and I've been here, I wouldn't rank Akufo-Addo over Kufuor. I wouldn't rank Akufo-Addo over Atta Mills. I wouldn't rank Akufo-Addo over John Dramani Mahama. I may struggle between him and Rawlings, and even there, it's going to be dicey. So I don't know what political script Napo was reading from, but, well, I guess nowadays, across the world, you can speak a lot of tosh and get away with it. But your thoughts on this bit about Akufo-Addo saying no to Mahama? And on Friday, I think I'll have more time. I think people are saying things to trend. We'll not allow people to trend on nonsense. But on Friday, I'll have more time for this. But your take.
I think you have hit the nail right on the head. Because yesterday, I was a bit busy doing a few things. So I did not listen in full. But the snipers have got from it. You want to compare Nana Akufo-Addo with Nkrumah. It's no. It's no. The records are there, except if you want to hide them, and then you will see all that you have. But Nkrumah's records, Nkrumah, I would say, I've said it here and I'll repeat, he lived way beyond his contemporaries. And the work that Nkrumah has done, it will take people years to undo them, that aside. But it is also important. That is what I said, that for this campaign, we don't want anything that is not factual, because you'll be exposed. People will come and expose you. So I think Napo will take it and then learn from this, because what he said yesterday about that comparison, no. Look at how the government is struggling. The achievements, yes, you can find some, but there are problems. Promises they gave us. Have they forgotten the 170 questions that they slap on the face of Ms. Atta and the government? The questions could not be answered. So we are throwing back to the examiner. That teacher, your student couldn't answer. See whether you can walk us through. We are now looking forward to that, those questions, one by one. So he must proceed with carefully, and then walk that tight rope of political righteousness. If you really want to achieve something, he needs to be very, very, very careful about these things, because we are alive to the facts. We are on the ground, and we know what we can speak when it comes to these issues. So as for the president, he will say things to please his party folks, but the stark reality is there. The economy, which is the first determinant of voter choice, is there. Is it healthy or is it not? You don't need any Adam Smith here. All that you need to just go to the market and see the situation on the ground. And that is the challenge for him. The infrastructure that we need. Do we have? The fight against corruption. They said so many things. Mahama's government was too corrupt and all that. Transparency International figures are there. And it has exposed all the lies and deception in the political space. It's clear. Issue of unemployment is going very high. Last time I was checking figures in Chad, and you see that, hey, there's a problem. Chad figures, the time I checked, fine figures than what we have here. What is happening? So I think they need to be very careful when they are throwing these things out, because as I've said, we'll interrogate them and then share with the public the truth, because the public has the right to know.
Well, I see on the live feed, some people are upset with what I have said, but it is, I don't hide my thoughts, honest thoughts. I say them. Everyone knows that. So someone says I'm bleeding. Another person is also bleeding there on the back of my commentary. You can feel free to disagree with me, but my opinion is my opinion. And I honestly don't see how any sentient person would think otherwise. But you can go on, be blinded by whatever, it's fine. We have 1 million ways to win 2024 election, Wontumi boasts. Then minority snubs Herbert Crapper's vetting. EC to conduct mop-up voter registration exercise from August 1 to 3. And 34 prison inmates, this one put a smile on my face. 34 prison inmates write BECE with hope for a brighter future, of course, definitely. And then Alliance for Revolutionary Change will tackle CD depreciation head on. That's according to Abu Sakara. Well, I don't know whether you have any quick thought on the Abu Sakara one. Alliance for ARC, of course, Alan Tremanting will tackle CD depreciation head on. If you do, briefly, and then we'll get into our next stack of papers. We have 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't have the story about Abu Sakara. If you can just...
Oh, he's basically saying the ARC will tackle the CD's depreciation. That's what he's saying.
Okay, Sakara has nice ideas, and so is Alan. But they should team up well and see what they can offer. But I have also said that the best they can do is to push the second to a second round. Winning it, they cannot. That the facts on the ground do not support that.
All right. let's get into other
Well, I'll
papers.
just do the banner stories for these three papers. The Custodian paper says private investor to take over Saglemi housing project. That is Kojopon Nkrumah saying that they've received 5 bids from private investors and it kickstarts activities to make sure that this project is habitable. Napo is results oriented. Bawumia declares Otufo Akufo-Addo bears testimony. Hotel share sale to improve profitability according to Smith. And those are just some banner stories here. On the Daily Searchlight, Mohammed's hopeless pledges glitz Ghana's. Anyway, on when she special needs student uses mouth to write BECE, Imams demand Islamic Succession Act. Dr. Duchum praises WAEC for efforts towards curtailing exam malpractice. And this is a Daily Searchlight. Those are just some stories here. On the back page, that is on sport. An excuse to boo Djokovic egged by Wimbledon's crowned. Djokovic expresses anger towards Rooney supporters.
That was an interesting one, actually. I think McEnroe, I watch a bit of tennis. Okay. I think McEnroe, was it McEnroe or someone else said that, I mean, he had been booed about 100 times since what, around 2012, and that people were. But Djokovic is such a character that sometimes people just rail against him. They want him to lose. There was a time many years ago where he wore a Darth Vader cap, mask, if you like, and went on the pitch. So he himself now, and the fact that his longevity and the fact that he's won the laurels, people really like Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. So for some, it's kind of like the Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi kind and Neymar kind of thing. So it is what it is.
Yeah, on the Accra Times, Mahama debunks the Akufo-Addo NPP free SHS lies, insists I can't cancel what I introduced. North Dai MP 8 BC candidates, Professor S. Kwekwasari punches CJ Tokono in his latest article titled Imperial CJ Strikes Again. MPs impressed with Buankra project tax the contractor to do a good job. Those are just some banner stories in the papers now. Benjamin, we just have about 3 minutes to go. What other
Yes, I mean, some of them we've already dealt with, but the Ghanaian publisher Bawumia Napo, Ghana's future, that's according to Nana Akufo-Addo. There is Asante Hene to Napo, don't make Bawumia regret choosing you. SNIT wants to improve its investment returns. Osafo Mafo, the Director General, says so. I've seen a lot of, and they've also said that Freddie Blaze's son's thing was not even opened. It wasn't. 5 companies bid for Saglemi project. Another blot on our conscience. You know, last week I put it to former President Mahama that TOR was a blot on our national conscience. And this is another blot on our national conscience, the Saglemi project.
This is what, you know, actually completes the project and makes it habitable. I'm all for it.
Yeah, after leaving it to decay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the way I don't know whose money we think we are wasting when we do these things, but it is our collective money, just as the debt that we have is our collective debt. I don't get it. It doesn't matter who starts it all.
Yeah.
What is the benefit in the end to the people? But anyway, the Daily Dispatch, apart from the good rapport between us, Napo can help me get over 80% votes in the Ashanti region. You know the dynamics. Anytime the MPP slips beneath maybe 75, 73%, there's chaos. AG and GBA support CJ's request for 5 more Supreme Court judges. And let's prioritize digital systems to deliver road infrastructure. That's according to the Chief of Staff. That's it for me. Do you have anything else before we take reactions?
No, that's it. But let's go to Doc and see what his thoughts are.
I think I'll look at Saglemi projects, and you guys have nailed it. Why do we allow it to rot? You know, read the Constitution. It says that all government are mandated to continue any project left behind by previous government. This, you know, public projects, and it's driven by public cash. So are we ensuring value for money? No. If there's a project like that, it doesn't matter who started it. Continue, and then we get the best out. We don't ensure value for money. And we always start one project, throw it away, go and look for resources somewhere, and begin to start a new one. What's the point? Finish one at a time. So I believe that, yes, I support the project if they want to come back to it. And it should not be only Saglemi. It should be all the rest, Kufuor's project and all that, which are all in the bush. Bring them to life. That is why we voted for you. And then the issue of BEC exam. I never heard any story about the malpractice that's going on, which is being tackled and all that. It's very, very unfortunate that we are seeing some of the malpractices going on and all that. I like the position of WAEC. They put their foot down and they are making sure that they get the best. We wish them the best, and we expect that parents should shy away from these things and allow children to develop to become the best of themselves without any influence in a negative form that will endanger them in the future.
Right.
Well, thank you so much, Doc, for joining the conversation. We appreciate you so much. Every Wednesday, you make the time because of us. You have to prepare and come on air. We're grateful. Today, we salute you for your time. And I know later you'll be joining us again. So we wish you all the best.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Wish you same. That is Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political scientist and head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Let's celebrate someone before we go. Guess what? Data analyst. I call him our in-house government statistician, Isaac Kofi Ajay. Yes, today is his birthday, and we want to celebrate a very affable brother. You know, I tease him sometimes that looking at his frame, I'm looking forward to seeing him in 5 to 10 years and see how big he will get. But fantastic gentleman, Isaac Kofi Ajay. Happy birthday to you. God bless you.
Happy birthday, brother. I think that he and Winston are doing a great job with Beyond the Numbers. The show is such a flex. I watch and I feel like those my colleagues from high school who know math and they love math and they always want to show off math.
They are showing up for...
the rest of us who just want to read and, we are leaning towards the liberal arts. We're like, what are they doing? But it's so good that you're doing that. Congratulations and happy birthday, Isaac.
Before we get into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us bring you this segment every weekday. They are offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Reach out to them at any of their branches, starting with Accra Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Tichiman Hanswa and Siaman Zuma. You can call them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Sports is up next. You want to stay for it.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. The youth of Axim are demanding the completion of the Youth Resource Center that has been constructed in the area, clad in red and black. They marched to the facility and called on authority to complete the facility within 2 weeks.
During a visit to the facility by the Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority, Pius Enamajide, in March 2023, the project, which was 95% complete at the time, was due to be commissioned in April of same year. About a year later, beautiful edifice is still unused. Facility is now overgrown with weeds, with the field, seating areas and other facilities in complete disrepair. In view of this unfortunate development, the youth of Axim on Monday marched to the facility clad in red and black, protesting the delay in completing the project. Speaking during the demonstration, leader of the Axim Youth Group, Jonas Kwabute, called for immediate action to prevent the facility from further decay and make it available for use by the community.
Honorable President,
Honorable Patrons and all past leaders of the country will be happy to see the youth of the town rising to protest the abandonment of the stadium. When you enter the facility, you will see the decay taking place. The seats and all other facilities are rotting away. We don't have anywhere for our Sunday sports activities. We are praying that the government to come and finish the facility and hand over to us for use.
My youth parliamentary canon, as a speaker, I'm making a habit on the beer, Yelekade, Abano, on the Master Mambo, Nawa, non so stadium law, all is said.
Receiving the petition on behalf of government, MCE of the area, Eric Essien, assured their concerns will be addressed.
Wherever I have to send this petition to ensure that all the concerns are addressed, I will do so. I am begging everyone to become and assure them once again that action will be taken.
With some 18 million cedis spent on the project, the Exim Resource Center is expected to include a FIFA standard pitch, a mini stadium which will seat 5,000 people, an 8-lane athletics track, a multi-purpose sports hall which will have a tennis and volleyball court, handball and lawn tennis court, as well as a court for basketball.
And we'll bring you more in our subsequent bulletins as we tour the various youth research centers that began about 6 years ago, and with each facility expected to cost about $2 million. The bigger question is, why are they being allowed to rot away, just as we've seen from the Azim Youth Resource Center? But let's do women's football now, where Epiphany Ladies, they defeated Halifax Ladies to win the treble this season in the Greater Accra Football Association Division 1 Football Championship. There's more in this report.
Halifax Ladies took the lead in the 44th minute through Rita Doku with a perfectly placed shot. Epiphany Warriors fought hard to draw level in just 8 minutes after recess with an exquisite finish from Salma Sai Jibril. Despite both teams creating some decent chances, neither side was able to convert as the game went straight into a penalty shootout after the referee's whistle blew for the end of regulation time. Epiphany was the first to miss their kick after substitute striker Letitia Ij failed to convert. Halifax Ladies grabbed an early advantage but failed to convert any of their next 3 spot kicks in the shootout. Epiphany Warriors were officially crowned winners of the GAFA Division 1 Champion of Champions for the 2nd consecutive season after captain Gifty Champon converted the 5th kick for her side. The win meant Warriors had completed a historic treble after winning their Division 1 group, the GFA Southern Zone Middle League, and the GAFA Division 1 Champion of Champions.
Very excited. It's a good feeling. For me, taking the finals 2 times, it's very, very amazing. I'm good. I feel very, very excited. Seriously, it was one of our dreams this season to be able to take all the 3, and by God's grace we are able to achieve it, and so we thank God. We thank God. Nothing but the best. I always say Epiphany is coming all out to the Premiership, and we are coming. We take match after match, and we are not going to disappoint our fans. We hope to meet you in the next season. That's the Premier side, and we are going to still deliver to you, make you happy and make you enjoy football.
At the Medina Asutef over the weekend, Bishop Herman College old students converged to have some fun games. And my colleague, Elon Benai and Defiamakwa, was there and has more in this report.
The aim of the Bobo Games is to foster unity and establish a strong bond among the old boys of Bishop Herman College, and this year was no exception. This is the 9th edition of the event. Old boys from different year groups came together to compete for laurels in games including football, ludo, chess, among others. The tournament, which was divided into 3 categories, was won by the 2007, 1998 and 2013 year groups respectively. Poga 2000 also won their event via penalty shootouts. Bobu President Dr. Richard Baiche and Vice President Innocent Texin spoke to Joy Sports.
Yeah, we have come so far in terms of progress, and I think the future is more promising for us, and I think we are going to add more events in the future, and then we make it more bigger. The idea is maybe in the near future we might not do it only once a year, we might look at doing it twice a year, and we are looking at doing it at other regions as well.
We just came into office last year, or I said this year, so there are certain bottlenecks which we have identified, so we'll make sure we correct them and then add more flesh to make it more robust than this.
Event chairman Sylvester Kafuiminta is also confident of an even better event next year, which marks their 10th anniversary.
Next year will be our 10th anniversary of organizing these games. And if you look at what we've done over the year, the ability to replicate this year after year, it's not easy at all, you know, to bring together all students who are, I mean, these are big boys in their various capacities, to be able to calm egos down and bring them together every year. It's not an easy thing, but as we say, the Bobu spirit always keeps us on, and we are hopeful that it is going to get better, and we are getting some assurances that next year a lot more sponsors are going to come on board, and we are appealing to corporate Ghana as well that, I mean, Bobu Games has become a brand, and we are appealing to all of them to come on board and associate with us. And beyond the games, we are using this opportunity to lobby the year groups together to see how best they can support the school. So for instance, this year, our main goal is to try to support the sports department of the school, so that whatever that we do here, whilst we are bringing the old students together, at the same time we are helping our old school to also develop academically and in all our sports and all other aspects.
On AM Business today, effective supply chain management fuels economic growth by optimizing production processes and facilitating trade. It also enables businesses to reach wider markets, expand their operations, and create employment opportunities. Today, my colleague Isaac Atesinyako assesses the impact of events such as the Russia-Ukraine conflict, COVID-19 pandemic, and how Africa can build an effective chain to support trade amongst member states. This is AM Business.
The global supply chain sector has recorded a number of disruptions over the past couple of years. The COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's conflict with Ukraine have been two of the major disruptions over the last 6 years. I had the opportunity to speak with some researchers in the supply chain industry. Professor Nathaniel Bosso, director at the Center for Applied Research and Innovation Africa, CARISCA, and Professor Dale Rogers, founder and co-author of the Logistics Managers Index. Professor Rogers, who is also the executive chair of CARISCA, provides further insight into the dynamics of the global supply chain.
Well, what's interesting is while COVID was a terrible thing in the global supply chain, for certain participants, it was a good time. I mean, transportation rates went way up during COVID, both in the U.S. and in Ghana, as the supply chains got broken and stretched, and so while it was a horrible thing and a lot of people died, particularly in the U.S., it also for some companies were able to take advantage of it. But it really was like fighting a war, where you switched into maybe making different products, distributing different products, and then all of a sudden, after COVID was over, then there was a real shift in consumer demand, and you started doing different products. Kind of takes a while to turn the faucets back on to fill up those supply chains.
How has the rebound been? Have we seen a pickup in the growth of the sector, or it's still slow yet?
It has sped up, and really what's happened, it's been surprising. You know, in the U.S., it was anticipated that we would be in a recession by now, but it really hasn't, because what happened is that we needed to fill up those inventories with different stuff following COVID, and consumers are still buying stuff. Consumers really globally are still purchasing things, and so the warehousing activity, you know, it was interesting, both the US LMI and the Ghana LMI, both of them saw incredible growth. So we're still seeing an expansion in the economy.
Okay, let me come to you, Prof. Bosso. Now, Dale, you know, Professor Dale paints a very good picture of what's happening globally. Now, how does Ghana fit into this?
Okay, so you see, it's the case that Ghana is part of the global economy, and whatever happens around the world affects Ghana just as it affects any other country, particularly in the case that Ghana is pretty much an import-based economy, which means that if there's any little disruption to supply chains globally, it affects everything in Ghana. And so when the Ukraine-Russian conflict started, you all knew what happened to the price of bread. The price just went up. Did we understand why? Was it based or was it demand driven? No. It's clear from Dale's argument that it was supply driven. So I think that the important thing that we should be talking about as far as Ghana is concerned is that we need to have indicators, empirically driven indicators that tell us how our economy is moving from supply side. And so what we are doing at Kareska, starting with the LMI, is to try to develop these kind of indicators across time.
Okay.
So that over time, we can see how our economy is moving.
So what is this LMI you are talking about? I know it's the Logistics Managers Index, but what exactly does it entail and what does it measure?
Well, we do it here in Kareska at KNUST, and we also do it, I started it 8 years ago, a little over 8 years ago in the US, and it's become an important leading indicator. It's been the number of the month, every month for the last 2 years in the Wall Street Journal. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, they all use it as a measure of the economy. And what it does is it measures changes in warehousing. It's really 7 components: changes in warehousing utilization and capacity, and prices. It's same thing for transportation capacity, prices, and utilization. And then it's inventory levels and prices. And we look whether those are going up or going down. It's a change index where we base everything on a scale of 100. So if it's above 50, it's increasing. If it's below 50, it's decreasing. And so we can really see a few months ahead of time what's going to happen with the product side of the economy, both in the U.S. and also in Ghana.
The overall Logistics Managers Index for Ghana for Q1 of 2024 reduced by 0.9 percentage points to 62.4. This depicts a slight decrease in the movement of goods in the country's logistics sector, while inventory costs grew by 1.2 percentage points to hit 81.1. Aggregate logistics costs remained fairly stable at 245.4. Professor Emmanuel Kwanzaa, co-author of the Ghana Logistics Managers Index, shares the details of the report.
Well, in the first quarter of 2024, we realized our overall LMI value stands at 62.4, and that is a little bit slightly down by 0.9% from the previous quarter, which was 2023. That was at 63.3. And so that is not quite a great decrease. So it's almost it's not that much. Interestingly, the values of all key indicators are above the threshold of 50%. So it means that the logistics industry is in growth mode. What we find most of the time is that the metrics with the highest values are the cost metrics, inventory costs, transportation prices, and warehousing prices. And transportation prices, since we began this index, has always been the metric with the highest value. And earlier on, Professor Dale Rogers was comparing the Ghana LMI with the US LMI. And it's interesting that in the US also, transportation metrics happen to be the metric with the highest value. So in general, the logistics industry is in growth mode. Logistics cost, the three metrics of inventory, transportation, and warehousing are quite high. And that is quite obvious due to what is happening on the macroeconomic side of things. And also on the forex trading. Inflation is a factor. General cost of doing business has gone up. And then the real issue or the real contributing factor leading to this high inventory cost is the depreciation of the CD against the dollar. And also when global oil prices also happen to affect our transportation prices also. So there is some effect there also.
He projects a steady growth of the sector by the end of 2024.
Logistics activities will grow at a steady state, and there's a prediction of LMI increasing, the overall LMI value increasing to 65.9, and there's optimism that inventory levels will increase to 80.1. That's a high level of optimism, looking at the current inventory level of 55.5. And like I explained, is due to a high inventory cost. So organizations are not able to purchase as much as they used to. And so predicting that to move to 80.1 is being quite optimistic. And I guess one of the indicators is because we are expecting a tranche of that IMF financing, and then also I don't know if the election year is a factor, but there's that optimism that macroeconomic indicators might improve, and so inventory costs will go down.
Prof. Dale, now for you, and with benefit of having an overview of the U.S. market, what do you think are some of the policies that should be implemented to ensure that we witness or we see a growth of the sector?
Well, a huge thing is the infrastructure here. It's really interesting to me working over here in Ghana a little bit. I know just enough to be dangerous, I'm sure. But if you look at the infrastructure across Africa, it clearly was built to serve like the colonial master kind of economies, and it wasn't really built to serve the people here and across the continent. And so a huge policy issue, I think, is figuring out the infrastructure.
What do we do to ensure that we have an effective chain to be able to make sure that the trade or the African trade we dream of indeed comes to fruition?
Yeah, I think the AFTA seems to be a nice solution to the problem of free movement of goods and services across the continent. But then, AFTA is going to face a challenge. There are two of them. One of them speaks back to what they were just saying, infrastructure. Try to move goods and services. Don't even think about capital from Ghana to Togo. You know what I mean? So the point is, are we going to use the road infrastructure? Are we going to use flights? Are we going to use the sea? If you try to use any of those things, I can tell you moving goods from London to United States is cheaper because of the infrastructure limitations. But then, related to that is the challenge of lack of regulatory synchronization. To what extent are regulations across the African market such that they are seamless and interconnected. And I was telling somebody this morning that one regulatory issue that I have a strong feeling will be a stumbling block for after success is currency. To what extent are we ready as African governments and policymakers to let go our currencies, to adopt a common currency that the European Union have done to facilitate free movement of goods and services?
On the contrary, some believe that Africa does not need a single currency. Rather, a harmonized digital payments platform will be the game changer. We spoke with Dr. Abdul Samed Muntaka to discuss how digital payments platforms have impacted the supply and logistics chain.
You will see a steady growth in the use of the electronic system. In fact, the last one recorded a 73.9, if my memory serves me right, and it is projected to reach 83.9. It tells us that the use of these electronic systems is going to grow. So for people in policy, it is important to note that if we want to reduce the use of fiscal cash in our operations, especially in the logistics and supply chain sector, which involves huge movement of products, it is important that we don't do too much to try and burden these payments through taxes. They look like a soft spot for getting tax revenue, but it also is a system that will make movement of goods, products, and people faster. So today I've transferred a number of money to Kumasi, for example, and I didn't have to leave this room. So think of me as a business, a CEO. I can make payments across the world, across the length and breadth of Ghana. The kind of effect we are expecting to see is a seamless flow, so that now, long gone will be the days where when you say you have made payment, I have to wait for an hour or two to see that the payment has been done. This time it is almost like partial, like we see it in Ghana. As soon as it is sent, you see it, and you are able to take the necessary decision. So we are going to begin to see faster decisions. We are going to begin to see a continuous flow of the supply chain. There will be less breakages due to payment issues.
With inflation expected to hit 19% by the end of 2024 and the general improvement in Ghana's macroeconomic scene, the supply and logistics chain is expected to record significant gains by the end of the year. The 2024 elections are also expected to contribute to this growth. Globally, supply constraints, technological advancement in logistics facilities, and a shift in the capital market cycle is expected to impact operations in the sector.
Ghana. Hey, Bob, dear, you do my CSC. Yeah, you do my CSC. What's about being a candidacy duma? And that's a padia in a prep, so be the no. Yeah, you do my day. So, what's your sentiment? If you're doing can you better than this time? My boy, and tell them no be free about Tabaka. Say, you do. Nana did not go for so. Adebia amanyo samu abawi aseda ya bagana ha opia antono school structures ayesi school dodo ayesi school buildings ayesi ebetu na kufuado da obia antono na kufuado. In fact yeri afio enkola control BC a no mutua exam fee na na kufuado ahede wochem na mukoya wasia ya pabo so mutua school fees na kufuado ahede. Ono kwani president wa ba so na so Bosi hospital bako 111 umpa we na apedie. That's all for the lady guard that could do. Oh, for that to be on the enemy. Now, why not the neighbor? Young Quatro, Young Quatro, Young Quatro, Kamutia, Opia, Odim, Mortia, Moko had a drawing. Mortia, the 900 cheap bois, as you are called Quahin. Mortia, the 900, as you are called Quahin. The Samu. Mesamo, and then the baby be wadi. Samunia Nabo, Messedai, Mudia Naba, Mudia Naba, Mudia Naba.
Welcome back on the AM show. We get started with our big stories, and of course, we're starting from there. That event yesterday, basically outdooring Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh as running mate to Dr. Napo-Bawumia. There are so many dynamics to look at. We're going to look at the controversy of pitching the president against Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of Ghana, among other things. Without further ado, let's quickly introduce our guest to you. We have Dr. Richard Amwakoban. He is a political scientist and he speaks his mind. We have Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande. We also have Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed, together with Dr. John Osai Kwapong, a CDD fellow. Gentlemen, good morning to all of you.
Morning.
All right. Let me start quickly. Great. Good to hear from you. Let me start quickly with Dr. Richard Amwakoban. Doc, your take on what happened yesterday, the significance of it, before we even get into some of what was said. How significant was it yesterday? Hello, Dr. Amwakoban, if you can hear me.
Opportunity to chart the path. How you're going to proceed. You're going to fix the problems. You're going to untie the knot and then mend the fences. But that's not what we got. We got exaggeration there, but not lie. That's what I was thinking. It's a lie. I'm telling you, this never first up to
Doc, we're struggling a bit to hear you, but did you say it was a missed opportunity to do something?
Well, yes. It was a unique opportunity to mend the fences, to smoothen the road by talking to people who are aggrieved by MPP, apologize. Yes. But I didn't do any of that. He said one thing about that, and then he kept going, got carried away, and actually compared Nana to family. When Nana is not close compared to family, this is on a key. Then you write all Nana is report. No, yeah. It's not. The guys are well, that's a problem. I don't hate you, but when they lie, I don't like who's down and say that was it. Who is that? Is that he does it? It is not good. So it's silly.
Right. Doc, the connection is not so good, but I'll come to you shortly. Thank you so much for those initial thoughts. But let me also come to Dr. John Osai Kwapong. Your key takeaways from yesterday, I shared mine a bit earlier, and I'll share it again, that I feel, I mean, part of the rhetoric shared from the president to the vice, okay, you can accept it on the political front. But I feel for Napo himself, I felt it was underwhelming at best, uninspiring at worst. What did you think?
Thank you very much. I mean, if the ceremony at Menchia Palace, the public advice that Otumfuo gave him, for me was the biggest highlight yesterday. And for me in particular, was his advice and admonishment to him that as you've been selected as a running mate, make sure that whatever you do, that the vice president would not regret for making you his choice or selecting you as his running mate for the upcoming general election. For me, that was the key moment and the key highlight for me to have publicly said to him that, look, this is an opportunity that the vice president is giving you, and make sure that you handle it with all of the care and all of the decorum that it deserves. In also a subtle way, it looked at as though it was very important for the party to also publicly show that indirectly or in a subtle way that Otumfuo was giving them their blessing as they go into the general election, even though he himself at the end of his speech said the Constitution says chiefs have to remain nonpartisan and outside of politics. But for me yesterday, that was the highlight, that interaction with Otumfuo and the admonishment that he gave him, and also trying to tell Napo's story of who he is, what he knows about him, to tell another side of the narrative that has been emerging about him. The last thing I'll add with my initial impressions was that, he found a way to also address, Napo's political temperament, which has come into focus, which is this, quote unquote, arrogant tag. And one of the things he said was, I don't know you to be that, but also don't let it become that, and so it's like, whatever opportunity you get, make sure that you do not reinforce that public perception that I don't see or I don't agree with. So for me, that was the Mensia part was my biggest highlight yesterday.
We'll be moving to the rest of our guests. I just want you to tell me, though, why do you think the Otumfuo had cause to say that in the first place? I don't know of any other running mate in this Fourth Republic of whom such things have been said, that, oh, don't make your presidential candidate regret putting you forward. Why do you think there was the need for that? Otumfuo said he had said that in private, and he'll say it publicly as well.
I don't know why he found the need to say that. I don't know what conversations they had in private, but for whatever reason, Otumfuo felt it was important to say to him, whatever you do, because I think he recognizes the important role that he's supposed to play to help Bawumia make a case for a Bawumia presidency. So that would be my assumption in terms of, look, you are there to help this man make a case for why he should be Ghana's next president. And so whatever you do, make sure that it is in support of that. Remember, he also said, look, listen to him, be humble, follow him, take his advice, etc., etc. And so in doing all of that, do not do anything that he may look back and say, I have regrets for choosing you. But only the Otumfuo can tell us exactly why that became important to add that publicly. Right.
Let's go to the two deputy general secretaries. I'll start from the NPP, Haruna Mohammed. Now, we now know that, the running mate has some close relationship with Otumfuo. So aside the regional balance, that thereby yesterday was significant. But let's focus on the things that he was saying yesterday. What is your interpretation of everything that Napo said yesterday?
Thank you very much. I would like to take the opportunity to say good morning to your cherished juniors and my colleagues on the panel. Yesterday was a great day for the
Haruna, please speak up a bit. Your voice is a bit faint.
Yes, I'm saying that yesterday was a great day for the new Patriotic Party as we gathered in Kumasi, the Ashanti regional capital. We did make it a point that we are going to outdoor the ticket of the new Patriotic Party, and the ticket was the flag bearer and the running mate of the new Patriotic Party. Our aim of going to the Mensia Palace was very straightforward. One was to asked for the permission of the revered king of the Ashanti Kingdom, for which Napo comes from that particular line of action in terms of royalty. We needed his blessings to ensure that he gives us the permission to use Napo for the purpose of running our election, as he has done so previously when his permission was sought for a member of parliament. I think that it was very marvelous. The commentary that was made by Napo was on point, and he did indicate it. And
are you saying all the comments he made was on point, or some of it was on point?
The points that he made, I think all of it was on point. He talked about the performance of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and it is very clear that he's the only president who has monumentally taken a very huge investment in the health infrastructure. This is the biggest health infrastructure cost that he has taken. So even if that is singled out, is that he has outperformed his success. I think there is something. He has made points that and nobody has not different people that are hit by this plot. He has a lot of plot.
Haruna, your line is breaking up. Let's try this again. Are you saying that all the comments that Napo made yesterday was on point?
Was on point.
That's clarification.
Yes.
Because
yes,
you know the precedent in this conversation is some of the things, is his comparison of President Akufo-Addo to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
And in addition, the whole bit about power and how, I mean, I don't know whether he was expressing his opinion or reflecting what Ghanaians think on the energy situation and his tag of Doomsday. And of course, we can get into what he said about Nkrumah, and we'll be vociferous on that. But your take, Haruna Mohammed.
Yes, he was very straightforward on what he said and mentioned Nkrumah. He talked about the biggest health infrastructure. He talked about the biggest health investment, and that is the Agenda 111. And that one.
Where is the Agenda 111 now? How many hospitals have you put up?
How many hospitals have you visited and you have not?
How many hospitals have you put up, Haruna? How many hospitals has your administration put up?
Hospitals that we commission built on various pieces of are on first pages of.
Your line is cracking up again. I find it almost disillusional to compare hospital infrastructure that you've not put up, and Agenda 111, of which percentage? Let me. I'm not insulting you. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. I asked you a question. How many have you put up? You can't tell me, and you are
I am telling you that.
Saying and you want to compare someone who put up to this.
Or can you give me the chance to talk? Please, if you ask me a question, you give me the opportunity.
Go ahead, Haruna. Talk all you want.
Yes. It is not true that hospital infrastructure we have in that. You can take your camera, take your eye, go to all the hospitals that are all of them are people.
Haruna, I want us to hear everything you're saying. It appears still the line is a bit, I'm not interrupting you, but maybe just move a little for me and start what you were saying again. I want us to hear everything you are saying. Please, let's try
I am telling you that. Can you hear me now?
It is better. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm telling you that. You can't say that mentioning Agenda 111 is a hospital that we have not built. I am telling you that all the 11 hospitals, 111 hospitals that we have built are at different stages of Go to the hospital that building for the year. Who is the level of that's got?
Which hospital?
Check the hospital. The level of we have history. Go to that. Check them. Which particular hospital have been built. Go to the aspect region. All the hospitals are various cities of country. In the north, we consider them. We started them to follow and completed it. Good central team, you started that particular hospital and completed it. Those hospitals are not to be part of the agenda of right. And you know that the infrastructure The biggest investment that ever the president of the Republic of Ghana has ever done is under civil army. And if you went and compare to the other presidents, I don't see the reason why he's saying that it is not.
Haruna, if you can hear me, we'll try to reconnect with you because I don't want us to miss the import of your words. So I'll go to Mustafa Gbande, who's Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, and then I'll circle back to you. Mustafa Gbande, thanks for joining the program. So I'm sure you've been following the conversation to this point, and you listened to the running mate, Napo, yesterday. What is your assessment of his speech? Although I don't think it was a speech written for him. What's your assessment?
Well, good morning, and good morning to yourselves and our dear panelists on the other side. I think that the network has exonerated Haruna from the hearing of your audience. At least he would have made the least sense if there was clarity in what he was saying.
Mustafa, please don't, some of where you've started from, he would have made the least sense. Don't come and insult your counterpart on the other side. I beg you. Just make your point without insulting him.
I'm just saying that if
anybody... I want you to withdraw what you said, that he would have made the least sense, please.
Withdrawn, that's fine.
All right, go ahead. Please go ahead.
To himself, I believe that if anybody would want to defend what happened yesterday in terms of what came out of the supposed running mate about the first president of the Republic of Ghana, I think that it's problematic. Number two, yesterday's event was supposed to be an outdooring. The organizers of the event were the ones that set these personalities up, because at an outdooring event, it's supposed to have some sort of formality in terms of being a program that attracts not just party people, but floating voters, attract the attention of chiefs, attention of the diplomatic corps. And so it embodies, one would have expected that you put a podium that will control what these people say. But again, it turned out to be a rally and a platform where nothing really came out. If you look at what President Akufo-Addo himself went to the place to say, clearly no one is willing to take responsibility in terms of where we are as a country. No one is willing to admit that the ordinary Ghanaian, so far today, this morning, is suffering. Two, if you look at what the leader of the NPP, Dr. Napo-Bawumia, today, as at yesterday said, he indicated how he's the head of economic management team. Now they are trying to bring back the responsibility of the economic management team. But some few months back, they actually rubbished that management team. It had no locus, it had no implication or whatsoever, and were willing to take credit for what the president have done, but refused to take responsibility of where we are. So clearly, Dr. Napo-Bawumia again failed to be honest to the people of Ghana in terms of where we are and what really he will do.
Okay.
As for Napo, I think that basically, he has lost the opportunity to prove Ghanaians wrong. He has moved from being arrogant. He has moved from being somebody who cannot structure what he says and what he does to an uncontrollable person. Yesterday was an opportunity for him to call in the troops, call for unity, bring reconciliation into the party. At least we all know that he was competing with other people, but he missed that chance. And again, when he got to Dumso as a problem, you saw his response. And I think Herbert Krapper, who have replaced him as a minister, I think was asked a question about Dumso a few days.
Krapa has not replaced him as minister. He's a minister of state. He's not even gone through the. But
yeah, but I've seen him talk about Dumso.
Well,
I've seen him talk about Dumso, and if you look at his response about Dumso, you can then compare the personality of even Krapa as a young man to what Napo would have done as a grown man, a minister of energy, who would have to admit the circumstances of our energy crisis. Again, he's not ready to admit. Yesterday, he rephrased it dishonestly and saying that it is doom SEC, insulting Ghanaians basically. It looks as if the NPP, the whole of the NPP leadership that gathered in Kumasi yesterday are operating from a different world.
Okay, Mustafa.
From where Ghanaians stand. Because the ordinary Ghanaian believe that there's high rate of corruption in this government. The ordinary Ghanaian believe that there's wastage in this government. The ordinary Ghanaian believe that, yes, we were hit by external crisis, but we could have done better if there was a sense of responsibility and agency within the government. The ordinary Ghanaian, even NPP people in Ashanti region believe that their businesses are not performing under their own government. The very period that they have experienced collapse in their businesses was the period that President Akufo-Addo became president. But yet, all the functionaries of this government, when they get the opportunity, will tell Ghanaians how they are doing well and that we don't see what they are doing. It's marveling.
Point made. We have to move on to Dr. Amakoba. He was in the middle of making his point, but the line was not very clear. Doc, if you're back on the line, this is your chance to tell us your assessment of yesterday now.
Can you hear me well now?
Yeah.
Okay. The whole thing was just was sad for me, because I thought they have a unique opportunity to tell Ghanaians who they are and how they are going to run the country. The fact that today, the next day after inaugurating Napo, we are talking about him not in the positive terms, but we are assessing what he said, that is extreme, the response. And that was wrong. You see, the issue should be not the issue. We should tell it. Now, this out and what can come up at a bit for another of no. What would that? There is just good looking on what is it? Yes, you have what you've been there because thank you. And go on. You have all for the topic about this. This respect to say that Nanado is a better Roma. See him. That is not the present news. Why would the that shows that that's what what about why would you even say things like these are issues you get around? Because wait you get and yet it's not, it's almost but don't make it very good. Why should talking about second day instead of celebrate for selection? Because what he said is not good. And so it's going what he's saying. And in fact, post-conflict, they have been saying behind him for so long. It is not means he's not aware of how he himself works. So that topic of just point. You are two people anyway. So don't take today how is what there's another.
Right.
Why?
All right, Doc. Although we struggled to hear you, I just picked a thing or two that it was a missed opportunity. I think that was what Mustafa was also saying, that it was a missed opportunity yesterday. But Haruna, let's see if we can...
Maybe before you go to Haruna, let me try again with Doc. I don't know whether you could just reposition yourself a little before before we can hear you. But I have this interesting thought. Yesterday, I noticed that while it was all about Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh Napo, when Kennedy Agyapong took the stage, and I just conferred with a few other colleagues here, and they agreed, he got more of a rousing applause than the running mate of the party. Yet, you have the presidential candidate of the party, Dr. Napo-Bawumia, saying that apart from the good rapport between us, as captured by the Daily Dispatch, Napo can help me get over 80% in the Ashanti region. Yet, even at his outdooring, Kennedy Agyapong was welcomed more rapturously than he was. My question is this thought about his helping the vice president secure 80%, do you think it is grounded in reality? And that question I will ask to the rest of you, but I'll pose to the rest of you. But starting with you, Dr. Mwakoba.
Well, it's very problematic, and it's not scientific either, because now you have the element of Alan in it. People are party, right? Many people. You are not voting. How do you? This is thinking. If this is how anybody, but you piece that he again, okay, just come back in help. Because people who do not vote for them. And it's still just, but if actually there's something, there's not really. No, that's all. But the people is all that there. I don't know what is there. Is his judgment board? Does he live in this country? Somebody wants it again. Oh, wow, whatever. But put structure in the front, and you say, wow, I'm good. How's that? I don't want. Then keep going. Just yourself, keep going. We'll see what.
Okay, Dr. Mwakoba, please hold for us. We are really sorry about the connection. Please hold for us. Let's also bring in Haruna Mohammed. He now joins us via Zoom. Haruna, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so let me apologize to you because these technical hitches have not, if you go back and listen, you realize that we could barely hear much of what you said. But you are back with us now. Please go ahead with your thoughts. If you can mention the Agenda 111 hospitals, because we couldn't hear you, honestly, from that point. You can mention some of them. You can go ahead and then make any other points or reactions. You've been listening in, right? So at least...
Yes, I did.
All right, so you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I say good morning to your cherished viewers and my other panelists on the side of the discussion. I was saying that yesterday was a very good day for us as a party. Haven't endorsed the candidature and the running mates of the New Patriotic Party. We set yesterday to outdoor the ticket. And first and foremost, the program was for us to seek the blessings of the revered king of the Ashanti Kingdom, and that is the Asante Hene, who happens to be the father of the running mate that we have selected, who comes from the Royal Gate. We needed to seek for his permission and also to sought his blessings to allow us to use his son as he has done so in the parliamentary contest when his permission was sought for Napo to be added up to contribute to the political fortunes of the New Patriotic Party. Yesterday was a very great day. The Asante Hene was very specific and straightforward in terms of telling us that he has given us his blessings. We can use Napo for whatever purposes that we want to do. And he did give him a number of advices, and I think that this is a very solid one that comes from the king. Again, I heard about the discussions on the achievements of the New Patriotic Party vis-a-vis the commentary that was made by Napo. He said that over the years, we have had BECE candidates pay for their registration. Under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, this particular policy was absorbed by the government, and that is true. If you fact-checked, you will see that this policy has been absorbed and paid by the New Patriotic Party. Again, he made a comparison that has become a discussion on the table with regards to the achievement of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I did say that he made a very specific point in terms of health infrastructure. And I'm saying that the Agenda 111 is the biggest health investment ever we had since independence. A president that has sat down to talk, to think through, to ask that these particular, all other districts that do not have hospital should be given the opportunity to have such hospitals, and then cut the sword for all these hospitals to commission. And I'm telling you that all these hospitals are at various stages of completion. Some at 70, some at 80, some at 60.
Name 10 of them. Name 10 of them and where they can be found.
Go to Myong District Hospital. Is under construction. It's above 70%. Go to Tamale. On your way to Yendi, you will see the psychiatric hospital that has been built after the town that the former NDC regional chairman was the chief. You will see it on your right from Tamale going. Go to Nantong. You will see the Agenda 111 being constructed and at its stage of completion. Go to Willensi, you will see Agenda 111 that is being constructed and at a various stage of completion. Go to Pandai, you will see Agenda 111 which is under a various stage of completion. Go to Zibila, you will see Agenda 111.
I have seen, what I have seen is that you're reading from something and that
I'm not reading.
You've probably been sent a list, which is fair. I mean, it's fair game. All these areas you mentioned, interestingly, some of where we've gone to do not corroborate. But I think what I'll do is let my team go back to some of those places, and then we can have a fair conversation. But you do know that it has been said, you will not complete more than 35 to 40% of those projects before this term is over. You know that, right?
I don't know the parameters.
You've not seen the reports on that.
I don't know the parameters at which you are reading to judge the completion point. But let me make this point. I am not reading from any document. I'm from the northern region. And I'm using northern region where I come from. I'm using that sector to tell you, because these are places that I have personally visited. And I can tell you that I know the places that I'm mentioning to you. I'm not reading from any document. Even though reading from a document is not a crime. But I'm assuring you that I'm not reading from any document, because I am a son of the northern part of the country, and I know all the places that I'm mentioning to you. And I'm a project manager myself. Before you can be able to tell the completion point of a particular project, you need to assess your work breakdown and look at what exactly that you are doing to be able to see. So if you are telling me that 30 of them may not be able to complete, I don't know the parameters at which you are judging them.
I didn't say 30 of them. I said that per data, you wouldn't even be able to go far with 35 to 40%, not more than that. But that is a discussion for another day.
That's what I'm saying. The data that you are mentioning, I don't know the reference to which data.
All right, Haruna,
reference to which data, because this is upon work. So let's leave that discussion, because you said you would be able to, you send your people to verify that. Yes, please.
Thank you so much for those thoughts. Points made. We have to move on. We have limited time. Dr. Osai Kwapon, I'm curious about this. I don't know if I should call it an endorsement. We know that the Constitution prohibits chiefs from actively participating in politics. And so what we saw yesterday and some of the statements that Otumfuo was making, can it be seen as an endorsement of NAPO and the NPP? What are your thoughts on that?
You know, he found a way to make sure that he didn't violate both the spirit and the letter of the Constitution, right? The outdooring was in Kumasi. The party felt it important to knock on his door and say, you know, we are presenting person A to you. This is what we want to come and do in Kumasi. You know, he gave them the audience. He gave them the reception. You know, if you listen to what the president said publicly, it was, look, here's why we're here. He told Napo's story, etc., advised them on what to do. And so, yes, you know, we do see chiefs throughout Ghana who give all manner of receptions to our politicians, finding ways not to, as I said, violate the spirit and the law of the, and the letter of the Constitution. What he said in the end is one of the things that I found also very instructive, right? He gave a tree proverb, something to the effect that if you are at loggerheads with your in-law, it doesn't mean that you cannot eye them, or something to that effect, loosely translated. But it was that subtle way of saying, at least the way I understood it was to say, yes, and he prefaced it with, this is what the Constitution says. So it's like, yes, I recognize that, but it also doesn't mean that we cannot receive you and engage in some of these public activities with parties, which you tend to see throughout. When you look at our politicians and their visits to different chiefs, queen mothers, etc., etc.
Benjamin was making a point and threw the question to all of you about...
Maybe I'll just reiterate.
I want to get this thought.
So the bit about Matthew Opoku Prempeh winning or helping the presidential candidate secure 80% of the votes. And I found it curious, like I said, I shared with some colleagues, and they agreed with me that Kennedy Ejapong got more of a rousing or rapturous applause or welcome compared to now the running mate. Do you feel Napo, together with Bawumia or Napo's assistants, can help the NPP secure 80%? In fact, if you look at the trajectory over the last few elections, 80% has not been a reality. Can they get it now?
I'm not sure if they can get 80, but I also know that their goal is to make sure that worst case scenario, they don't fall below 75% of the vote. The other way that I look at the importance of the Ashanti region, and I think I mentioned this on your show previously, is that if you look at the total votes they secure in any given election, going back even to the 92 election, on average, about a third of their total vote share comes from the Ashanti region. And so for me, the key is whether it's Kennedy Ejapong making the case or now that it's Napo as the running mate, that is the key, right? Whatever he does is to make sure that he's able to energize the base. And I'm sure the party is going to find strategic ways to deploy him. But for the purposes of Ashanti region, I don't see why, with the kind of energy, that he won't be able to at least help secure the basic, minimum vote share that they need from the Ashanti region. And there's a strategic reason why the Ashanti region is in very sharp focus. I've said over and over again that some of the signals that have come from some of the post and pre-election surveys is the reason why you see this very sharp focus to ensure that at least at their strongest base of support, they can secure the kind of votes that they can. And I don't see any reason why Napo can't help the party do that. As to whether they'll be able to get that 80%, that I'm not sure.
Let's quickly take the thoughts of Dr. Richard Amwakoban on that. You have an interesting take on whether Napo can help Bawumia secure 80%. Your take is?
Well, the question you asked is to the point. When Kennedy Ejapong took the podium, we saw true enthusiasm. That's what I was looking for Napo to do, because he spoke the truth. These are your own people. They know what has happened. So you don't have to lie to them. These are your protests. But when they talked about who are gone, they hate them. They can't say, how they do it. And they did get around it. That talked about insider. And then next thing, you're not talking about how the party is coming together.
Dr. Amwakoban, we need to get what you are saying. Move a little for me and start again. move a little for me. I beg of you. I know we are we're harassing you this morning.
Is it better now?
Yes, let's try again.
Okay. What I'm saying is that you can see that when it is portfolio and spoke the issue in the past, it was a result. Yes, want to hear it. How are you? After you cannot win party at this.
Okay, Doc, I think we would try to reconnect with you, maybe Zoom audio, but let's try and reconnect, and we'll go to Gbande. Gbande, we haven't heard your thoughts on whether or not Napo can help the NPP get 80%, and then you can add your final thoughts for us. We do have to go. Okay,
so it's very clear and grounded that in their primaries, 55% of the NPP base in Ashanti region voted against Dr. Napo-Bawumia. It is very clear that in terms of credibility, in terms of party confidence, if Napo's candidature was supposed to rejuvenate the grassroots, it has failed. Clearly, that objective has fallen flat on the ground. 2, if it's supposed to be one that rallies satisfaction in terms of what government have done, again, they continue to lie. So I don't see how that makes to the mark. But what is important is that the Ashanti region is the bedrock of NPP's political dividends in terms of votes. And so it's important that this function was held in Ashanti region. Now, what is very clear and visible is that whatever the intention was for appointing Napo as a running mate is failing, clearly failing on the ground. Even journalists and commentaries are not supported. Today, we should be talking about some of the key important things that Napo have made yesterday. Today, we should be talking about the direction of the Dr. Napo-Bawumia Napo candidature. Today, there should be hope at the grassroots base of the Ashanti region. But unfortunately, this morning, here we are discussing arrogance, misplaced commentaries, and all of that. So I'm not truly sure how Napo can help the NPP in any way. I'm sure that on their table, if they can change Napo today, they will. But unfortunately, that decision have already been made. What is very, very important is that President Mahama held a very structured lecture or meeting the press a few days ago. And if you look at the composure, the elements that came out of that press engagement, and you compare what happened in Kumasi yesterday, well, viewers' judgment of it will reflect in the 2024 general election. And again, this election is not for Mustafa to convince anybody. It is not for the NDC to convince any Ghanaian. Neither is it for the NPP to impress people. People will vote measuring how the economy, the country have impacted them, how they feel the hardship, how they see leadership, and whether or not they believe that a certain crop of leadership can bring hope in the next future. And that is what the election is going to be about. So for me, Canada-Japan is fixed in a situation of credibility test. All the things you have said ran up to their primaries against Dr. Napo-Bawumia, the ills he's spoken about. I'm not really sure whether or not he can stand publicly to call for Ghanaians to vote for Dr. Napo-Bawumia. I mean, I would have been shocked to see Kennedy do that. So it means that there is still some element of disenchantment against the Dr. Napo-Bawumia Napo card in Ashanti region. And for me, that is what reflected in the question my brother just asked.
Mustafa Gbande, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, thank you so much. We'll try one last time to see if we can get Dr. Makoba. And then, Doc, if you can hear me, we can take your final thoughts on this conversation because we do have to. And apologies for the bad connection.
Dr. Richard Makoba, if you can hear us, please. Dr. Makoba, can you hear us?
I don't think he's on.
Let's try this one last time. Dr. Richard Amwakoban, if you can hear us, please let us hear from you. I think there may be an issue with this, but maybe before we wrap, finally, yes, Haruna, any parting shots before we bring in Dr. Amwakoban finally? Haruna Mohammed. Yes,
thank you very much. I stand to disagree with some of the commentaries that is made by my brother, Mustafa. You know that the National Council meeting we had, after that the General Secretary briefed the media of the unanimous decision of National Council. The NDC up to today has not been able to tell us that Nana got 35% of their council discussions in terms of acceptance of her candidature as the running mate. So Napo is somebody that is well accepted by the rank and file of the New Patriotic Party. Looking at what happened in Kumasi yesterday, and then referencing the appearance of Kennedy Ohina Japan, you would notice that all political watchers will notice that such a person that is appearing on the stage to add up to the MPP's victory cause in terms of his contest with His Excellency the Vice President, people will definitely be very happy to see him. And I don't expect anything less than what I saw yesterday, because there must be that sense of happiness, that sense of unity, that sense of forward move from the people for acceptance of he joining because of what happened in the contest. So I believe that what happened with his appearance was apt, because people were happy, people were excited, people were so much moved that the MPP is back to its foot, and then we are more united than ever. And I don't think that this should have been something that we should use to measure the appearance of Napo, because Napo is somebody that is well accepted. Even Kennedy Ohina Japan accepted the candidature of Napo. And to also prove the point, in terms of the additions of votes to the MPP.
Please make this your final point. Our time is actually up, but you go ahead, briefly.
Yes. So for the 80%, if you check Napo's performance from 2008 to date, it is only in 2020 that he has not been able to move. But all his performances has never fallen below 80%. So Napo is somebody that is a grassroots person. I have been a national officer in the last administration, and I saw the contribution of Napo. If you look at 2012, he was a director of elections of the party. That contributed for the party to go to the Supreme Court to challenge the decision of the Electoral Commission. So Napo is somebody that we can even get more than 80%. I'm assuring the Ghanaian citizens that Napo is going to bring in much more numbers than we all expect. But we are going to do so to make sure that the Ghanaian people appreciate the work of the New Patriotic Party. I'm happy my brother is saying that we are not going to impress, we are not going. Yes, we are going to sell the message, and we have the better ticket when it comes to election 2024.
Haruna Nagode, thank you very much for joining the conversation. Let's bring in Dr. Richard Amwakoban, final bits, and then we can go. Doc, can you hear us? Okay, we don't have Doc. Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, please, you have the final word, and then we're gone. Dr. Osai-Kwapong.
Yes. Well, both tickets have been adored now. It's up to them now to go out and sell their message. But for me, though, the one thing is, if I look at a lot of the conversations this morning, I'm hoping that the biggest lesson Napo would take from this is that he doesn't want the narrative to become anything else but the ticket and what he brings to the ticket. Because if you look at a lot of the conversations this morning, it's as though it has been even overshadowed, by the fact that he was being outdoored and the ticket was being outdoored. And I hope that's the biggest lesson they take from this going forward.
All right. Dr. John Osai-Kwapong is a CDD fellow. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're also joined by Mustafa Gbande, the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, and Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, and Dr. Amwakoban, who is a political scientist. Thank you so much for joining us. Benjamin, this is what we have.
Yes, indeed. It's far we've come. But I always say that, look, regardless of what is being done now, on December the 7th, that's where the chips will fall, and things will fall in their proper places. I believe just as with the Tories in the UK and others, the reality will hit you when when you go to the ballot box, if everything is free and fair. And I think...
Let's see what December 7 comes with. All right. And that's this belt of conversations, but there's still more coming your way on the AM show. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. This is the AM show. Now on housing today, as we get ready for the second mini fair of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair in Tema, we discuss how you can navigate the cost challenge to be able to build your own house in these difficult times. God knows the times are difficult, but still, you can make something out of it. How do you do that? Well, to help us walk through what exactly we need to look at, Michael Agbenyega, he is a home construction advocate. He joins the conversation. We also have joining the conversation this morning, Dr. Gad Asowe Akwensivi. He is also a landed property investment advisor and a legal practitioner. He joins the conversation. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. It's good to have you.
Yeah, good to be here too. It's a pleasure.
All right. So let's do this. And of course, the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is heading to the TMA in Tema shortly from the Achimota Retail Center. People want to build, but the question is, how do you do it in these tough financial times? I'll start with you. I don't think it's been easy being an advocate for home building in recent times. Your brief thoughts on the building construction environment in Ghana currently?
I think currently it is very challenging. Especially because of the economic challenges that the country is going through. And so it makes it very difficult for a lot of people to even consider either building or continuing their projects because they are looking at their finances and it makes it a bit tougher for them. Yeah.
For you, Doc?
Yes, I think I'll start with the topic, building a home in tough times, navigating high costs and challenges. I think you couldn't have gotten a better topic than this. And that is the case because nearly everyone who has acquired a property or built his property in this country has a story to tell. Whether it is at the land acquisition stage, protecting the land after it has been acquired, having his building designs done, getting the building permit, putting up the structure, all the way through roofing, plumbing, electricals, finishing, external works.
Sometimes you would even look at where you are, the road connectivity, the road network, access to water, if it's not a fully serviced area, all of those.
Yes, yes. And for me, as a land person and property investment advisor, my focus will be more on the land acquisition bit. And the reason is that we have been, over the past 3 years, we have been analyzing the frequency of cases that are listed in our courts. And we found out that as much as 50% of these cases are land-related. So what we did was to dig deeper to find out the nature of these cases. And then we have found out a pattern that has been drawn. And we believe that if listeners out there and if prospective buyers will pay attention to the steps that we'll be discussing this morning, we'll be reducing many of the cases that end up in court. It will be reducing people having to go into litigation and to go into arbitration to settle their land matters. And that will, in fact, go on to reduce the congestion that we have in our courts. Because if we have as much as 52% of all the cases listed in our courts being land-related, this would reduce the cases that end up listed in our courts, make our courts more efficient.
I will tell you something. I have been, I've been drawn into the middle of a case where, these people who like selling land more than once. One land is being sold to about 20 people. Even now, it's before the police, and there's some shady things going on. But that's another bit in there. Our land administration and people selling land multiple times. You are innocent, you want to purchase land. I know people who have got their fingers burnt badly. There's another one in Abri where land was sold in dollars. Someone's daughter bought the land in the UK, and till today, so how fundamental are these problems? How bad are they? And if you want to build today, you don't want to spend a peswa and lose that money. How do you go about it? You can take them step by step from land to the others.
So basically, as I said, on the issue of the land acquisition bit, there are certain things that we need to know, from the beginning. And once we get those steps right, we'll be reducing the risk. We don't want to take any risks this time, and we want to get it right. So the first thing, most of the time, is that the data is showing that we don't take identity seriously. We don't take capacity seriously. And capacity goes to the root of everything. So you want to acquire land, and you are not interested in the capacity of the person selling the land, but you are interested in the price of the land and the location of the land. Most of the time, people are selling land, and the first question is, as Asini is saying, but the right question to be asking is, in what capacity is this person selling this land? Does he have the capacity in the first place to even deal with the land?
Who has the title on the land?
On the land. And so we found out that has to be resolved. The solution there is to ensure that if the person says that I'm selling this land, the question you should be asking is, do you own the land? He says yes. What's the evidence? You ask him, do you own the land? He says no. Then there's a red flag. And then most of the time they tell you that, and he is selling. In that case, then you want to move forward to find out whether he has the capacity, and if he has the capacity, what kind of capacity? Has he got a power of attorney or something of the sort to deal with the property? And many times they tell you that, it's an estate company that has acquired the land and is selling. That is very enticing. We've had a few instances of defunct companies like that took monies from people and at the end of the day was unable to deliver. So capacity is very, very key, and it's one of the things that right from the beginning, every prospective buyer should be looking out for. And then we can move on to the title search process. Now, at this point, the usual thing is to ask the landlord or the vendor to give you a site plan for you to go and do your searches. But in actual fact, the right thing to do is to get a surveyor to go to the site and produce a site plan, because we are not sure whether the site plan that is being given to us is even in relation to the land in question, the subject matter of the transaction. So ideally, you should get a surveyor, go to the site, pick the points, and then you can use that site plan now to conduct the search at the Lands Commission. So that is...
Even the acreage or whatever, the plot sizes could vary from what is on the site plan, whatever is given to you. So then you would be able to get actual figures, go to the survey department or lands, conduct your search, and know what is and what isn't.
It will also be necessary, even after the search, if the search turns out to be favorable, to visit the site. Because many times there are certain informations that Lands Commission will not give you. So,
like which ones? I mean, this is for education, so let's which ones?
For instance, there's an ongoing litigation, for instance. That will not be information that will be within the purview of the Lands Commission.
All you have sought is information on the size dynamics, location, and all of that. They will give you that. But if there's litigation on the land, they will not tell you this land is under litigation.
That's it. So the siblings are fighting over it. The matter is probably even in court. And once the matter is in court, unless Lands Commission is a party, that wouldn't reflect in the search report that will be given to you. And so visiting the site will accord you access to a lot of the information that you normally not get. Speak to neighbors. And then you realize that, hey, way, man saw a war, and so on and so forth. And then you'll be able to gather a lot of information. Then,
so another tip, you just mentioned something there. When you are trying to buy land, don't just speak to the purported owner or family.
That's it.
Try and speak to people in the community, the neighborhood. This land, do you know about this land? Something. Ask questions.
That's it.
Because sometimes people know something, but those who are selling it to you will not tell you. Okay, go ahead.
Then the next thing will be to be sure whether the land you intend to acquire is fit for the purpose for which you are acquiring. And that involves undertaking a planning search. The planning search would normally be undertaken at the local authority, in this case, the municipal, metropolitan, or district assembly, where they will tell you whether this property or this site has been zoned for residential or commercial, industrial, or whatever. Because you could acquire the land only for you to realize at the end of the day that you are unable to use the land for the purpose for which you have acquired the land. Then moving on is the issue of the fact that we do not use or make use of sale purchase agreements in this country. And one strategy, vendors have a couple of strategies that they normally employ if they realize that you are in love with the land and there are issues relating to the title. They have strategies they would put in place to ensure that you make payments without necessarily going through full-scale due diligence. Now, an effective way to hold the whole transaction down is to engage and use a sale purchase agreement. Because a sale purchase agreement will hold the property down and take into consideration the intentions of the parties, and then gives you enough time to do your due diligence, because it would give you maybe 3 weeks, 1 month to do your due diligence before you make payment. This time, the property is off the market, and then you can have that time to do all these checks that we're talking about.
In other words, do your due diligence before making any payment.
Before making.
Don't be in haste. Sometimes they'll tell you, hey, and this is hot property. And you know, people are also trying to get it. If you don't make a payment quickly and all of that,
yes,
all be lie. If you're not careful, you pay for something that you may not want.
And then once you have done that, the next step, so you need to get in place the sale purchase agreement, which will hold the whole transaction down. And as you have just said, one of the strategies is that they'll tell you that, look, another party or another prospective buyer is ready to make a down payment. And so if you want the property, then make a certain commitment, when in actual fact, that is a lie. Now, once you have done all these and you're happy with the search report and have made payment, the next thing you have to do is to take physical possession of the property immediately. Once consideration has passed, take physical possession of the property as soon as possible. And that means doing something to take physical control of the property. The reason is that you could have an instance of what we call adverse possession, where you have acquired the property, but you have other people on the land, and you could be affected by that. A couple of years ago, I did a presentation somewhere, and I said people who have acquired properties for their children and have allowed people to occupy the property could end up losing it. And yes,
in law, if you allow people to do that for a number of years, you could actually lose the property.
That is it. So once consideration has passed, you should take steps to take physical possession of the property. And then whilst you've taken physical possession, you can then complete the payment and the documentation process.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Let me go to Rev on this point. I'll come back to you on the standpoint of that is where a lot of people are compelled to use land guards, which have been outlawed, but some people are still doing that. And some will also build walls and all that. We'll come to the legality of saying, and then after that we'll wrap on the land bit and move on to other bits. But for you, a home building advocate, when it comes to the land-related issues, what do you know, and how over time do you feel people, what have you learned over time that you feel people can apply in the building process, even as a factor of cost?
Okay, so I think like Doc said, practically a lot of people have gotten their hands bent by virtue of the fact that they go in to purchase land, and it is land that has some litigation or some challenge with it. And I think practically we have situations where even the Lands Commission sometimes is guilty, because you try to, like Doc said, you need to go do your due diligence and all that. But sometimes you have the experience of going to the Lands Commission to do your checks. And even with those checks, you are still not able to tell. Like Doc said, you have a situation where if there's litigation on the land, the Lands Commission will not be in a position to tell you. You know, so people go in, put in money, and then they lose their money in the end. I mean,
it's even been said that sometimes within the commission itself,
yes,
things happen, and what you're supposed to get, you don't get, and you see things that are not real. He knows about it, but I'm sure he will not want to talk about it. But we know of these things.
Very challenging, because the ordinary person, on the face of it, finds it difficult to tell whether this documentation being presented is fraudulent or correct.
Exactly.
You know, and so you would want a situation where you go to a state institution that is mandated to be able to give you the right answers, and yet you go there, and because of the interest of other people and all that, you have this situation where they tell you one thing and then you are experiencing the other. What I would say with regards to making sure that you are able to mitigate some of those challenges is be careful where you are buying the land. I know most of the time when you are closer to the city, it's more expensive because it's prime land. But then also the challenge is that people have bought land in far off places where they can't protect the land. Okay, because now it is difficult for most of the land guards to operate within the city, even though some of them still do. But you realize that most of the activities are within the outskirts of the city, where there's a lot more land and where people are now moving towards. And so if you are not ready, it becomes difficult for you to go and put something there and say you have land. You can't even protect the land, and yet you say the land is in your name. You know, so you need to be mindful of where you want to acquire the land. Do some due diligence, like Doc is saying. Make sure you do some inquiries, even with the family. Go beyond the family and go to the relevant local chiefs in terms of the people who control the local environment, and find out from them. Sometimes you can even have some of these, the assemblies and all those other things, giving you some idea about the ownership of the land and all, because sometimes people have gone to them and they know that this land has a challenge or it doesn't. So if you are not ready, that's what I would say, if you are not ready to protect the land beyond just buying it, please try and stay away from it, because as long as it is land that is lying fallow and it is lying there, you have a lot of interest and people coming in to want to take that same land.
And some would even say, if you're not ready to develop the land,
yes,
you probably should just wait.
Yes.
And don't buy the bit about, it's hot property, it's hot cake.
Yes.
Because if you also get it and you're starting to develop, then even if you've gone to that point without knowing, then you would start to see that if there are counterclaims, then people will start popping up. Yes. And then you can address the issue earlier. But we're looking at how to protect the land. Land guardism has been outlawed, and we all know the challenges. Some people are still doing that. Is it building a wall? What do you do? Quickly on that, and then we can move on to other points.
Okay, so basically what it means to take physical possession of a property. So basically, the whole idea is to take any action that communicates to the whole world that this property belongs to someone. And what do you do?
Putting up a signage? Some people do that. No, this property belongs to...
that will not stand the test. But normally, you can put up a perimeter wall around this property, or if you are unable to put up that perimeter wall, you can put up a small building on and get someone to live in that property. You can even go the step forward, if you are unable to do that, to even grow crops, economic crops on the land. And that's in the face of the law, is taking physical possession of the land. So the whole idea is that do something on the land that sends out a signal to the entire world that this land, to anybody, that this land most likely belongs to somebody.
To the reasonable man.
To the reasonable man, yes.
But I mean, I've seen instances of this where even property has been knocked down. From, cash crops have been uprooted. So I'm going to ask, is a fence, maybe not a concrete wall, but I mean a brick wall, but someone putting fence, maybe wire mesh or roofing material to fence that place, does it qualify?
Yes, as long as you are preventing people from intruding. You are communicating to the entire world that, look, this land belongs to someone.
Okay, let's move beyond the land to the other elements, because we have quite a bit of, but we also have a limited bit of time.
Yeah.
What other things should we look at in terms of the cost factor, but also ensuring that you don't get fleeced?
Yeah. Basically, that is it. And ensuring that once you have made the payment, you go ahead to do the documentation. That is very, very important. Fleeced with respect to the entire building, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Because we do not produce most of the building materials in this country, and most of these materials are imported. Basically, everything that we use to build in this country is imported, right from the cement, as we were just discussing. And so these tend to put a lot of strain on our budgets. And the fact that we, most of the time, underestimate the project durations. Without taking into consideration these realities. And so it's important that we are realistic in our budgeting with the building entirely, right from scratch to finish.
Okay. Let me come to you, Mike, on that point. He says we must be realistic. Yes. How real can you be? Look at someone, imagine someone who started maybe a building project. Let's say this person was trying to develop on his own, which has its own pitfalls and dangers. Let's say 2 years ago, and you were buying cement at what price? Maybe 40, 50, 60 cedis thereabouts. Now, in most places, it's over 100 cedis. I had the executive secretary of Greater come here the other day, and he said he knows that 95% at least of the materials used for making cement is imported. That means it will attract the 22%, taxes, among other things. It means that by the time it gets to you, the cost has skyrocketed. So that is one. And in the building industry, as I'm sure all of you are aware, even if you price a project, even with overheads, right, you project that maybe 15% or 20% more, then all of a sudden inflation, the exchange rate, you realize that you have to go back to the client and tell the client that, look, what you are giving me, we actually can't complete. It's creating myriad problems. Are these things you are aware of? How do we avoid those pitfalls?
Yes, so let me just give you a practical example. I did a project in 2020, was able to complete a move, a family in 2022, so it took
2 years, right?
When we started, the price of cement was 28 Ghana cedis. Okay, that was in 2020. Today we are in 2024. It's gone beyond 100 Ghana cedis. So that tells you the number of the percentage
5 times.
Jump, almost 5 times. That's a percentage jump. Now, one of the things I want to say is this. I think there is a challenge also with our mindset, okay, with all due respect, because we tend to overly build in such a way that completing the project becomes very, very difficult. There are a lot of people who start off wanting to build their dream houses.
Yeah, that problem, huh?
Okay. Now you're going to build a 10-bedroom house as a young man. Why would you want to start with a huge project like that when you know that the cost of building materials is skyrocketing every week? Why would you want to do that? Why don't you start with something that is very manageable? A 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, sizable enough. Even if you have a plot of land, Can you build something that later can be converted into a boys' quarters or maybe something that's
expandable?
Expandable.
Yeah. So what you would probably have to invest in is the foundation.
Exactly.
So that from there you can do
even
other
build
things
in
on
phases. You know, so you complete one part, you can move in, and then you can work on the other part. Or you build it in such a way that it can be a standalone, but it's in a certain part of the land, so that if you want to build your dream house, you are available to supervise the project and make sure that this is going on. And but at least, why don't you move from the part of paying rent?
Yes.
So you've built something that is sizable, that within 2-3 years you are able to finish on time, and then you move the family in. Then when you cease to pay rent, you can make those savings and work towards your dream house. So I think that mindset is something we need to look at. When you travel across the world, you realize that space is cost. Space is cost. And so most people are building smaller. We want to build bigger. And
I mean, as you build bigger, you say space is cost.
Yes.
Maintaining. You know, a lot of people with big houses, you probably need a janitorial service. You need someone to come and clean. The more the space, the more you will pay. It makes no sense. But people, unless you have the resources.
Exactly. And even beyond that, what happens is that after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, the designs change. So what I am building for, thinking that my children would come and stay in it with them in mind, when they grow up, it is no longer in vogue. And so they don't even want it, they break it down. And we see a lot of those things in most of these old estates and all that. People are breaking it down and rebuilding. So I think we put undue pressure on ourselves when it comes to the kind of buildings that we want. And that in itself brings a lot of pressure in terms of cost and financing, because most of the costing will come from you. Okay, look at the exchange rate. How many people are able to go for mortgages to say that they want to build? Okay, so if most of the financing is going to come from you, you should cut your coat according to your cloth and make sure that you don't go beyond it. Life is in phases, and so you manage to get something today, hoping and trusting that you'll be able to get more so that you can build bigger and better ones. And when you move from that place, you can always rent it out to other people. So it is never a waste for you. So I think once we have that kind of mindset, we are very measured in how we put the project together so that it doesn't come at a greater cost.
Before I come to lawyer, I also have to make this point on the back of what you said. Another avenue, though, you could still build, I mean, if you have the resources, but what some people do who have the resources, though they may be futuristic and they're thinking about family and children, some people also want to move extended family in. It's fine.
Okay.
But they start off with tenants. Okay. So some can also put up a 5-bedroom, for example.
Yeah.
But he knows very well that he's going to be in one portion of the whatever high-rise building or whatever. All the rest are going up for rent.
Yes.
Recoup quite a lot of the cost with rent, and then later gradually move other people in. That strategy also works, but not just to put it up and say we are bringing family in or future family when it's not going to be earning you any returns, right?
So with that one, then it means that you are looking at it from a business perspective, which means that it is front-loaded, so the cost is upfront. And with that, then you should plan well, knowing that you have some resources to be able to complete it. Because if you are not able to complete it, then that idea of renting cannot materialize.
Exactly.
You know, so once you know that you have what it takes to be able to do that, and you have the resources, no problem. Nobody has a qualms or a challenge with you for you to be able to do that. And I think that is beneficial to you yourself, because then you are able to raise more capital to be able to do other projects, and that helps. But I'm speaking more from the generality, knowing that a lot more people do not fall within that particular category.
Which is true.
And that is why we need to be measured in terms of how...
Even some of these high-rise buildings where they sell a room or a studio, you know, some people are coming together, maybe 3 friends come together, buy, but they don't mean to go in there. They use it as these Airbnbs, and it's just a money-making venture for them. Over time, they make quite a bit of money and invest it into other things, and that's still an investment that is there waiting. In case you just joined us, though, We're having a conversation ahead of hitting Tema, the TMA in Tema, the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. I know you're thinking of putting up that building, but the question is, how do you do it in these tough economic times? That's our conversation this morning, building a home in tough times, navigating high costs and challenges. And that's why we've brought these professionals, experienced men into the studio to school all of us, because in the end, so coming back to you on some of those points, what would be your take?
Yes, so basically, in summary, Reverend is telling us to avoid locking ourselves in perpetual poverty. And you know, most of the time we do incremental building in this country. We buy the land, so we are in the rented premises, we buy the land and we build gradually over time. Now, what I take is that as early as possible, you should be able to move into this property to avoid paying rent here and then putting up a property, all sucking your funds. So the trick there, or the catch there, is that we avoid that situation. Otherwise, you will perpetually be a renter. You will not be able to complete your house. And so we have to factor that in our planning right from the beginning.
So in other words, make that place you're putting up habitable as quickly as possible.
As quickly as possible.
Because once you move in,
yes,
now you can commit money to
more money,
electricals, you can commit money to full roofing. I mean, you can put something there to cover you for now. Maybe you've not got the precise roofing you want. But once you are no longer paying rent, there will be enough
resources to
start pushing in that direction. Is that what you're saying?
That's it. So the rate of completion tends to be faster than spreading your income in two places.
Okay. Now, still on the cost bit. The cost is what it is. People say it is much more difficult to save nowadays. A lot of people are already on loan facilities in the first place. From that financial standpoint, what advice would you give people in terms of any idea of, yes, he may say start small, that is one of the tricks, but any idea of wanting to buy land, where, for example, what are the dynamics you ought to? So let me give you an example. Yes. Someone earns about 3,000 cedis a month. Maybe they are already on a facility, so let's say 700 cedis is gone out of that. They are left with 2,300 cedis. There are other things to do. I see you smiling. There are the basics of life: food, shelter, drink, utilities, electricity, water, gas, and other things. Realistically, what can such a person do? If the person is thinking land, where would you, propose and all of that? I just want from the very basics. What would you say? The value of land is basically dependent on the demand and supply. We have the pressure within the built environment. And so for a person like that, or in that circumstance, I would recommend that you look into the outskirts of the city. Look to places like Afienya, to places, even now, Dodowa is getting, it's practically gone.
It's practically gone. And land in Dodowa is quite expensive. Yeah. So for such a person, you will be looking probably beyond a Mensa, where with a good payment terms, you can acquire a piece or parcel of land.
Right. Yes. Okay. Any reflections on that? Right?
So just to add to that, I think we've seen the development of some real estate companies and some agencies that now would give you land for you to pay over time. Right. And so that's also an option that you can look at. You just have to do your background checks with them. Just make sure that they are legitimate and their documentations and everything is verified with the Lands Commission. And once you are able to verify those and tick that, then I think that it helps for you to be able to start a payment plan with them. Because with that, normally they would give you the permission to start something on the land, right, whilst you are doing the payment. And most of them are within the outskirts, so they are a bit more affordable for the ordinary person.
And in recent times, I've seen anything from, and that's why you have to come to the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. You see anything from 15,000, depending on where you are looking at, to even, I mean, the millions and the rest. And you know where I'm talking about. Yes. But in the end, you have to make a choice based on your pocket, your capacity, as God will tell us. So you also have to make your way to the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair, because we have these discussions and you will get to meet some of these people who will give you the proper advice. Our next mini fair being in Tema. But gentlemen, so your final words. Building a home in tough times, navigating high costs and challenges. What do you want to leave our viewers with this morning? I'll start with you, Gad.
Yeah. So we want to avoid the risks as much as possible, cut down risks as much as possible, because potentially land litigation will run for years. I know of land litigation that is running in the courts for 20 years, and that means that your project is stalled. If you don't have money to buy land elsewhere, then it means that your project is stalled for 20 years. So taking your due diligence seriously is the way to go. And once you've gotten that done, you are about 60% through the process. So I would encourage prospective buyers or persons intending to build a home to take due diligence seriously.
All right. Rev?
Yes. So I would say let our vision be progressive. We cannot accomplish everything in a day. And so we go a step at a time. So let's be measured in what we conceive today, so that tomorrow we'll be in a position to get something bigger. And then also, let's plan and prepare well, because we know the times we find ourselves in. And so we can look at a lot of things in terms of how to manage our costs and all that. I know people who would start buying iron rods down. I know people who will start buying blocks down. You know, some of these things that can at least reduce the cost and the effect of the costs rising up on them and all that. As long as you have places where you can store or keep some of these things, people would want to go into that and all that. And I think one other thing I would leave with our viewers is that let us be disciplined. You know, money is such that at the end of the day, it would always ask you to do something else. But you know what your vision is, you know what you are looking for. So be disciplined and make sure that some of these lifestyle changes that you need to put in place so that you can save more, you know, and then you'll be able to achieve your objective. I think these are things that I will leave with our viewers so that we can all enter into our homes one day.
Indeed. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sharing your pearls of wisdom with us on building our dream homes. That has been our conversation on building a home in tough times, navigating high costs and challenges. The next installment of this, if you want to catch it, you don't want to miss it, will be in Tema at the TMA, the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair, the next clinic, and home ownership, get a house, make it a home. That is the theme. It's from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Over the weekend. On Saturday, 4 p.m. In Tema. You want to make your way there. Those who joined us for this conversation, Michael Agbenyega, he's a home construction advocate. We also had Dr. Gad Asowe Akwensivi. He is a landed property investment advisor and legal practitioner. Once more, Yadamwase. Nagode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more right here on the AM show. Stay. Welcome back. I have a question for you. Have you heard of the EcoBank Million Gang yet? If you haven't, you are missing out because Sika, what do you say? You are sitting on your money. What's not hard? So please, joining me in the studio, we have EcoBank representatives, and they're going to be telling us about the Million Gang. And you see the beautiful and handsome face there. Regina Ofori is head of digital sales, commercial banking, and group digital marketing. And we also have William Danso Abiam, head of products, consumer banking. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mudi sikana na menyesa.
Bebre.
Egava. Okay. So tell us about, even before we go there, let me just applaud you. Every year you back us up on the Habitat Fair. Yeah. So we want to salute you for coming on board this year as well and for the many strides you are making. But quickly down to it, I'll start with you. What is this Million Gang? I'm excited. What is it? Tell me about it.
So the Million Gang is a promotion that we launched a while back in May, and basically rewarding our customers and saying thank you for their loyalty and doing business with us. And we do that by encouraging our customers to save. It's hard times, but this is the best time to save, right? So you can have the fruit and eat the seeds as well. So we're encouraging our customers that once you get something, put something on the side. And when you do that, EcoBank rewards that effort. And hence the Million Gang, because we're giving a prize pool worth over 1 million Ghana cedis. So it's a promotion that is saying thank you to our customers. And many of them walking away with cash prizes.
So there's a pot of 1 million. And the more you do, you can benefit from that pot.
Exactly.
I see. Okay. Are there any other dynamics you want to tell us about? So the Million Gang, what are the requirements? Is it just anybody who comes to save? Is there a specific amount of money you have to save? What are the dynamics?
Okay. So long as you have an account with EcoBank, and that's the key thing. You need to have an account. So if you don't have an account, it's the time to open an account because we are not done yet. So long as you have an account with EcoBank, all you need to do is bring in funds. And as you bring in funds, whether through moving in from another bank or getting funds from outside, visiting our express points, our branches, you bring in funds. And in lot of 500, so each lot gives you a point. Okay, so if you
I come and deposit 500 cedis.
No, so if you do 10,000, we'll break it down. Each 500 gives you 1 point, and that increases your chance of winning. So in lots of 500, you increase your chance, and the funds would have to stay in for a period of 7 days, and you are part of the lucky winners.
So if someone brings 500,000 Ghana cedis,
divide by 500, that's a lot. Your chances, in fact, I think in the pool
let me
have...
do the math so that all those people with 500,000 cedis plus, they can start going there. 500
divide by
1,000.
Divide by 500.
Okay, so 500.
Like 1,000.
Divided by what?
500.
500, right?
Yeah.
1,000.
Yeah.
For you.
1,000 slots. I mean, that increases your chances by...
Yeah. I don't know.
You
are the chance. You then become the chance, then there's no you become the chance.
I see. So those who are already on board can participate?
Yes.
And those who come on board, between now and when? I mean, how long is this running?
So we started in May, and as I indicated earlier, and the promotion ends at the end of this month, July.
Okay.
So we are still on. It's not late at all. So for our existing customers, those who are already banking with EcoBank, if you are yet to make deposit of 500 or multiples of it, then this is almost like your last call, right? A reminder to do so. And you are not with us. God, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Come on board, open an account with us. All our account types, our savings account, current account, EcoBank Express account, all the accounts, once you have an account with us, and you make a deposit of 500 Ghana cedis or multiples of it, then you stand a chance of getting rewarded in the last draw, which will happen after the month of July.
Wow. So basically, this is the last call, not for alcohol, but to make some good money. Because like William said, you may have about a week to keep your funds in there, and then you can actually benefit. What will be your final words for us? What are you leaving us with? For those who are watching us, I'll start with you. And then I'll go to Willie.
So, I mean, since we started, we've had one big draw, a mini draw, where today over 3,500 Ghanaians have been rewarded, and there's more to come. So for me, my final words is, yes, please bring the money to EcoBank. You can deposit at our express points. In fact, our deposit-taking ATMs are also there for you. Just bring the money, learn to save and help yourself. Times are hard, but this is the time to also put something on the side and see how that money grows so you earn interest on that savings, if it's a savings account. And EcoBank goes a step further to say thank you and give you money.
Okay.
There's airtime, there's fuel vouchers, a lot of amazing prizes just for you because we love doing business with you. So thank you.
William, we have to go, but final word.
So we are encouraging everybody. Maybe you are thinking, how do I find my account? We have over 6,000 outlets for our express points. We have over 63 branches across Ghana. Just look for the nearest express point and make your deposit. If yours is on a Momo, you can move it in. If it's outside, you need to make a call and let somebody come in. But tomorrow is our second main draw. So those of you out there, just look out for it. And you could be part of the lucky winners tomorrow.
You could be part of the million gang.
Yes.
Yes. We're ganging. And those who join us in the studio, William Danso-Abi, I'm Head of Products Consumer Banking at EcoBank, and we also have Regina Ofori, Head of Digital Sales, Commercial Banking, and Group Digital Marketing. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
I'll be joining the gang.
You need to.
Do stay with us. We'll be right back with more action shortly. Welcome back, and in our final conversation, all roads lead to Tema for the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. We have two of our participants joining the conversation in the persons of Frank Appiah. He is with Superlock Technologies Limited, and he is Sales and Marketing Executive. We also have Patrick Bono. He is with Syntex Tanks, and he is a Sales and Marketing Executive. Frank, Patrick, good morning.
Good morning.
I see you have your Syntex tank in front of you, robust and all of that. But tell us a bit about Syntex tank and the new bits, the new packages, colors, thickness that you have for would-be buyers.
Yes, I actually work with Syntex Containers Ghana Limited.
Okay.
And then we are a leading producer of water storage tank. And then we have our water storage tank ranging from 100 liters to 25,000 liters. We use pure virgin material to produce our tank, and then that gives us durable tank. And we are the only company in tank industry that gives 7 years warranty. And then if you want to get other colors.
Did you say 7 years?
7 years warranty.
Warranty?
Yes, that's what we give.
Okay.
And we don't just produce black. Most people know about black color. We can customize any other color, such as
just
blue.
Like this blue?
Yes, green with no extra cost. And then we introduce double layers in Ghana. And then white inner layers, that helps in cleaning purposes. So that's about Syntex.
I see. And when you look at the products that you have, apart from the tank, what other products do you make?
We don't just produce water storage tank. We produce road barrier for demarcation purposes. We produce traffic cone as well. We produce pallets, that is plastic pallet. And we also produce wheel bin.
Okay, and you can see the traffic cones and barriers, strong, durable, reflective, and highly visible. Let me come to you now on this bit about Superlock. What are the latest trends and innovations that you have on offer? You're also, participating in the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Tell us about your products.
All right, sure. At Superlock, we are not just for security doors. We also have glazing, that is aluminum windows and doors. We have internal doors. We have even bulletproof doors. We just introduced
bulletproof doors.
It's FB6 rated bulletproof doors.
Wow.
We're also now into vaults and strong room production. And aside that, we also do kitchens, wardrobes, and pergola, and many others. So once is more like a one-stop shop for your home furnishing.
Now, what measures do you adopt to ensure quality, high standard quality, and affordability? Because those are some of your selling points.
Sure.
You sell quality, but they are affordable.
Sure. Now, what I say is you can't put value on your life. So you therefore need quality security doors when it comes to you. Now, when it comes to our security doors, we don't just sell it to you. Once you make payments, we are the same people who will deliver to your site, install for you, and after the installation, we give you the keys. Now, one feature about our doors is that, the keys are coded. So once we do the installation, we hand over the keys to you. If you need duplication or replacement, simply bring it to us, then we duplicate it for you. Now, even without a card, we can't even duplicate for you because the codes of the keys are on the card, and that is in your possession.
Wow.
And also, we also have what we call the geometric locking system, which ensures that all the doors, the locking system locks all around it.
Those ones where you lock and then about 19 or 20 are locking at the same time.
So you're well secured.
Tell us briefly, though, your major products and how they meet the security needs of the Ghanaian market. You started talking about them, but in Ghana, people look out for specific things. How do your products meet these?
Okay, so when it comes to our security doors, like I said earlier, Now, you can't put value on your life, so you need to secure yourself and your family, and as well as your valuables. So everybody building needs a security door. You also need to secure your windows, because you don't just build and just leave your place ajar. So you need to secure with windows and need quality windows and doors. You also have our burglar proofs. You also need to furnish your kitchens for our women out there whose virtually their offices are in their kitchens. So you need quality kitchens for your...
You want them to come and beat you up this morning.
Then as when it comes to your wardrobes, you also need quality and stylish product for your rooms. So we have all these things available for the Ghanaian market, and just call on us and we can serve you better.
All right. And for you, Patrick, Syntex, you say that you are the one-stop shop for plastic products. But how can one purchase Syntex products, especially your tank?
Well, across the nation, we have about 400 satisfied agents that any of the customers can buy from. And you can shop directly online. That is syntexgs.com. When you go, you can shop online there. And also, you can reach us on social media, Syntex Ghana. And you can also call us on 0244 335168. 0244 335168. And we have a factory at Spinters. We have a factory at Free Zone as well. When you go to Kumasi, our factory is there. When you come to Tamale, we have a factory there as well.
All right. Final words for you as well. I was going to ask for the phone numbers and all that, but you'll be at the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair, right? You'll also be there.
Sure.
Are patrons going to get any discounts?
Well, yes.
For sure?
Yes, sure.
All right. Give us your phone numbers where you can be located, and we are done.
Paulo, we have about 6 branches. We have Kumasi, we have Takrady, Weija, Adenta, and Jolu.
Okay.
Now, you can reach us on 0244-311-360, 0244-311-360, or on our social media handles. That's Superlock Ghana on Facebook, and even our website, superlock.com.
Frank, Patrick, Yadamwase. Frank Apia is with Superlock Technologies Limited, a sales and marketing executive, and we also had Patrick Bono, who is also with Syntex Tanks as a sales and marketing executive. I do this always with Sweetie Abochi. She's my right-hand woman, and it's been a pleasure coming your way this morning. This is where we say goodbye, but up next we serve you Joy News Desk. You want to stay for that.